maps.
Oh, cool.
So to make some.
I'm trying to
some,
get my start. There we go.
Yeah.
Once again, the
I
stream.
need to log into. Yeah, I need to log into.
The Stream Deck Auto buttons thing isn't working again, so I need to. I'm trying to fix it real quick while this first ad's on.
Yeah. So you might have to reboot things.
Alright, now let's see if that works. There we go. Hit the Reaper one next. Yeah, alright, good, now it works. I fixed it that quick. Now I know what to do to fix it. So. Long shot, can you hear us? Good evening. Oh, and a cat snuck in here. Cat stuck in here.
You'll be happy with it now for a while and then start protesting it and when to go out.
Well, the door's cracked open, so good. 5. Good.
Perfect. 5-5.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's see here. Check, make sure. I got like too many screens up right now.
Yeah, I know how that feels.
Yeah.
I lose my mouse cursor sometimes. I don't know where it is, and I have to start wiggling the mouse left and right, and then see where I see the movement. Because that happens at times.
What's up there, Wiley? What's up there, Coma?
Oh, yeah, with that we have Cannibal. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for your donation, and I just saw your comment in the Discord and yeah,
awesome.
About city maps and stuff. So I'm getting back to you. Yeah, I
cool.
just logged on Discord like an hour ago, so or had it on. So yeah, I'll have some, and maybe we can talk a little bit briefly about that later in the show.
Sure.
Like that. So yep.
Plus,
so, yeah. But I'm going to get back to you. So thank you so much.
It's busy time but fun time. So
yes,
that's the good thing. So
yep.
And I just had Troll Lord's Kickstarter up. Cannibal just did a nice bought some of their stuff today. As we were talking on Discord. That was awesome of you. I know Chuck will appreciate that. I haven't talked to Chuck today since the game last night. I don't know if he's not feeling well or he's just busy, but you know. So.
Yeah, and I actually have 2 Kickstarters that are up now that have my maps in them. Southlands for Cobalt Press and another one module that I've named for Griffin Games. That is my maps too.
I gotta get my thoughts all together here. I'm a little bamboozled. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's good you need to because I don't have together. So you.
I got books everywhere. I got notes everywhere. I got my side screen available to use to show stuff. Hopefully, I don't crash the stream opening too many things. So, but I'm gonna try and do this because if someone brings up something that I don't have, I'm just gonna try and open it. Maybe that won't go well. We'll see. Oh, there comes Will. Yeah, he was. He was all over the place on who the character was last night. It was kind of funny. So, what's up, Will?
Hello. Hi.
Hi. How you doing, Anna?
Oh, good. How you doing?
Oh.
Oh, you loaded. You come
He's
with
got a
tea
brown
mat
shirt
in your
on.
background
The Browns
here,
play
so,
tonight?
No, Monday night, man.
It's Monday night, that's right. Yeah, the Eagles are actually beating the Saints right now.
That's a world
Tell
I
you what.
don't know much about sports.
Jalen Hurts looks really good.
He doesn't look bad, so that's a good thing. But
He doesn't look like Carson Wentz.
exactly. So we'll see.
You don't have to like sports, then.
No, it's okay. I used to be one of the very fit person for not being into sports at all. It's okay.
Well, you were in the military.
Yeah,
So,
I was fit, but not into sports. But we played a lot of foot just for fun. So.
I only played in high school.
Yeah.
I think that's enough to.
Yeah, that's the thing. They actually stopped us from playing a lot of stuff because we injured ourselves so much on our PT stuff. So yeah.
Hey, Casey.
Hey,
Hello.
hey, good to see you again. Oh,
Hi, Will. Hi, Anna. Hey, Jay.
Hey.
so good to have experts here. I
didn't have time. Anything you sent me in Discord, I didn't have time to look at. I'm sorry. Just
That's all right. If you wanted some visual stuff to throw up, it's just a few magic items from Living Greyhawk.
oh god.
They were actually pretty tame. You know, I went into I just took a quick run through all the Bandit Kingdoms adventure records from Living Greyhawk. I was expecting to find more crazy stuff, but we mostly, it looks like, rebadged, reskinned some things to add some flavor to it. Like,
That's cool.
Here's a +1 mace or Morning Star, but it's got the symbol for the Kingdom of Yo-Rays on it, and it does a small minor thing if you are a citizen of that kingdom, things like that.
See, that's cool.
Yeah, but then I
like
also
that stuff.
right,
I think
it makes you feel invested
Yeah,
in
Exactly.
the item and the story.
And that's why I like, and I know we'll talk about this, so that's why I like Greyhawk Adventures so much with all the items and their names, for
Right.
areas and places and people and things. So,
I also though found, our crazy stuff like here is a 9 lives stealer with, an ego of 29 that's chaotic evil and devoted to protecting
oh gosh.
Iusians.
That's another episode, right? Right there, Jay.
That is an episode when I'm not on.
Yeah, this one's awesome. It's called Death's Kiss, Adamantine 9 lives stealer.
So Adamantine could be
And
+5.
that character could get a hold of that thing?
Yes, it was on the very last adventure record from the Bandit Kingdoms.
A +5
It
9
was
lives.
wielded by a bad guy in the final interactive, and it has a special purpose of defending half-dragons. It can cast Raid or Dispel Magic at will at 3.5 at 20th caster level. So the whole
That would
point of
be the
it,
way to do it, too. It's like, oh, this is the last time. All right, let's give out all kinds of
Yeah, sure.
crazy
Good
shit.
evening.
yeah. So, but other than that, most of the items were pretty standard.
So I think Gary Julian will be on when Gary Julian's on, right?
That's how Gary rolls.
yeah. And
So
he
we
comes
will
in
see
the
Gary
way he comes
tonight.
in. Yeah. We might see him in a way that is really.
I haven't set that up yet, Casey.
Well, just testing. You gave out a ton of things.
Five
Yeah.
giveaways last night,
That's impressive.
and one actually got turned back because someone said, "Oh, you know what? Give it away tonight." So we got 2 Troll Lord aired giveaways for tonight. So we do have something.
There you go.
Yeah, PDFs. Yeah. I mean, we did have a Mike Disney signed print last night, a Troller Games PDF, and 2 Titan Dice sets. So, yeah.
So I noticed you had Mike Disney playing a cleric the first time you played at the table.
Mike Disney, the first time he played last night.
Yeah, had him playing a cleric. You didn't give him something easy like a fighter, just go run in there and whack things.
Did you see how many fighters were in that group?
I didn't. I don't actually know what that party consisted of because I came in.
Well, you have a Knight of Yula class, and she is disgusting. Bill's character, Sorsha. And she's dual class. She was a ranger and then dual class to knight, and she hasn't surpassed, so she can't use ranger abilities yet. And you had Tim's character, who's a mage, dual class from paladin, and he hasn't surpassed his class yet. You had Anna's character, and it was pretty cool. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna come on anyway. How's that sound? Sorry, we're just babbling. Sorry about that. Hey, good evening. I'm not even paying attention. So, I'm sorry. I was just like pressing the button and blah, 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 blah.
You have a Twitch show to run. You need to
Yes.
get into
Yeah, man.
It's cool, sure. No problem. So I'm Jay Killer Gazumba. We got a fun one tonight. We had monsters last week, and we're just going to keep it rolling here, and we're going to do, this is a general discussion. It can go any direction you want, except, we're not going to talk 20th level weapons and Living Greyhawk. Just kidding, Casey. So we'll talk Greyhawk and campaign. I got a lot of custom stuff I want to discuss, but with me is always great Anna Myers with me tonight. I got Wicked Studios, William Henry Dvorak back, and he's got no game tonight, so he'll be on for the show, hopefully.
Oh,
and
good.
I got Casey Brown covering the Living Greyhawk era, where stuff, where you go to die. Or you go to
die.
I don't think we killed enough PCs during Living Greyhawk, but that's a Legends and Lore topic.
Yes, Monsters was fun, and last week, and Treasure and Magic items is going to be even more fun. Now I'm going to try something again. I've done this a couple times. I got my side screen set, so that if we need to pop something up, I got my little thing we developed, recharging costs for wand staffs and wands. You ever see this in the book? It always says it in the player's handbook, or it says it in, the Dungeon Master's Guide or Arcana. It goes, this can be recharged, and then it doesn't say anything else.
Yes, I always wondered that. That was one of my things I wanted to talk about, how you solve that, because there's no rules for it. It seems to more than there should be. It should be possible.
Well, Jay, you do know it solved that, right?
What?
3rd edition.
Oh.
Yes.
Where they actually codified it.
Yes, they did. I was just going to say that.
You should just borrow those rules.
Yeah.
I would just rather
edition
make up my
onwards.
own that makes sense. And this,
almost all problems was sold in 3rd edition and onwards, and then 4th edition kind of unsold a few things, and then
Right.
and then they sold it again in Pathfinder. And
Yeah, they were like,
edition.
forget that rule about letting the DMs just make stuff up.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's against my nature. But if I see a rule or something that makes sense, I'll use it.
Yeah.
Like I love feats, and that's why I merged feats into my weapon proficiency system, because it makes sense and it gives flavor to characters, right? But
I have a tendency of doing the same thing.
Exactly. So
I just wrote. Let's see. At the last count, my house rules for the upcoming Greyhawk are at 56 pages of house rules that I just wrote up.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
You're getting up there with
For which edition?
Well, I can't say
All of
right
them?
now. No, not that's just for the one that I thought that I was maybe going to use, but it maybe's going to change again. I don't know.
I thought I was bad having.
I
like,
can't
25
say anything currently about which edition it's going to be. It's an old, it's an older edition. I can say that much.
Okay.
Or I
basic.
should say
Yeah.
more. It is based on an older edition,
Okay. Based on an
You're
older
starting
edition,
really
so
basic.
and it's not because
Yeah.
it's anything secretive. It's just because there's still a couple of maybes on the table as far as which way it might go. That's all. Not because.
Yeah.
I keep going. Oh, that would be good. Well, what about this one? But what about that?
Yeah.
Chuck probably will not make it tonight, but he said, so this is what Chuck said, go ahead and use that code a couple more times.
Nice.
Okay, so this is what we're going to
Okay,
do.
yeah.
A couple more means 2, and I got 1 to give away. We're going to do 3. So let me set this up real quick. So, and I'll show you, once again, it'll be the monster. We're doing monsters and treasures. We did monsters last week, treasure this week. So if you didn't get your shot at getting the monsters and treasures of Erd, you're going to get your opportunity right here, right now. To do that. Let me make sure I hit the right thing. That should have started it up. So yes, and they'll be all PDFs tonight, courtesy of Troller Games. So there you go. And it'll be a nice. It's really a nice book. Here it is. There it is. Monsters and Treasures of Aird is the one that we're going to give away. We're giving away 3 copies of it tonight via PDF download, and courtesy of Troller Games. And if you did not watch the stream last night, well, it was crazy. I mean, we had a monster crowd last night and really great participation. I tried I kind of did kill Chuck off once, but I did that once where, hey, if everyone burns the hero point that they have left, at least you can save him, because he failed to save by 5, and it was a dead saver dead, and so that was my one get out of jail free card. So I can say I killed him, but I didn't. But it was
You're a big softy.
I am a big softy.
That's what I was just gonna say.
So
It's not old school of you, Jay.
Oh, okay. but see, do you really want to kill a sponsor off? I gotta think about that.
I gotta say this as a tip of the hat: if you're gonna kill a sponsor off, Chuck's the guy to kill off. Take it the best.
Yeah.
What was he playing? That Fitz character?
No, he was playing, and he named him after Josh Pop as a joke. Josh Death Dealer.
Yeah.
He was a fighter, specialized with both halberd and longsword, so he could tank and he could fight two-handed. And he had a +1 halberd and he had a +2 longsword with a shield. And then he went in and he was fighting the Spectre, and I didn't tell him, and I should have. And he swung and he critted twice with the halberd.
Why would you tell him? A fighter wouldn't know, right?
What? Well, I said to him, Chuck, think about this. Which weapon are you going to fight this thing with? Your halberd or your sword? I'm only going to ask this one time. Because he had a +2 sword and a +1 halberd, so he switches. So I was kind in some spots, but I tried to finger of death Amy's character, her illusionist Rihanna. So and she made her save. So, but enough of that discussion. Hey, what's up there, Mike? And the crew's just getting on. Treasure and magic items. We can talk about a lot of different things. Like, I love treasure that's not magical. I love finding idols that are worth money, and these weird amulets that that aren't magical, and things that are a little weird and out there. So, what do you guys have any in your game you remember of a bizarre monetary value item?
My campaigns are so bad that even hardened Bandit Kingdom living Greyhawk players would think I would be mean and thrifty and not give them any money whatsoever. So
I was just about to say doors.
Yeah, no, it's so bad that
Masterwork doors.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
So I was just going to say this is probably the worst topic for me, and I need to learn. So
okay.
I need to learn
Well, Anna, maybe we should ask, why do bad guys have treasure? Other than the fact that when we go back to the history of the game, you got experience points for getting treasure, and you could use it to build fortresses when you got the name level, 9th level, and all that kind of stuff. But to me, bad guys should be spending their treasure. And if it's magic items, they should be using their treasure.
That's exactly that was my point that I was coming to, is that it's not something they find in a treasure chest sitting at the bottom of a dungeon. It's the bad guy himself that will wield it. So if they're crafty enough, they will be able to get it from him the first time they meet him by killing him outright. So to speak.
Bad guys.
For consumable items in Living Greyhawk, I used to tell the players at a table, "Oh, he's drinking your treasure," whenever the bad guy would pull out a potion. Drink it, and they would get super pissed. But it's part of the bad guy's repertoire.
Yeah,
it is. It absolutely is. And and Anna knows. Last night, I stated there were 2 items. I said to him during the fight, I said, "You ain't getting these 2 items." One of them was I used a Leonard Deathmaster last night, and I did something I hadn't done in 40 years with one. I made her a female Deathmaster.
that was so cool.
Yeah, and so she had a Withering Scythe. Never swung it. It got Chuck's character critical hit it and broke it. So that solved that problem. Then it had a Roaring Wand, which it did a cone shock, which did a Slay Living. I said, I didn't give that one out. So and I said that one had broken too in the combat. So I mean, bad guys. It's part of the allure of the game. Is bad guys have these great items, and plus she had all these other stuff, and there were some other things strewn about because they acquire it because they kill all the good guys from previous things that were unsuccessful, right? That's why there was a Foltest shield they found in there. There was a shield with the searing light on it, and because you find those items. I mean, that's what I love about the game so much.
Yeah,
I'm more disposed to just giving out cash and then magic items are, like you're saying, they're on somebody. They're being used. And the reason that the bad guys, and then the amount of cash they get is all, of course, going to be depending on the level of the bad guy.
Mhm.
You know, the higher up the food chain they are, that's their funds that they use for, you know, paying off their henchmen and all that different stuff.
But
So-
if the bad guy's in a city, shouldn't he have a bank account and an accountant
should,
and lawyers?
Yeah, it depends on what type of-
100%.
It depends on what it is. I mean, if he's a city official or something, of course, then he will have and if he's a merchant or something, he will have a stash of money at home and stuff like that in order to pay. So it
Property.
should pay. Yeah.
Yep.
I see treasure as part of world building, not part of mechanics in order to flesh out the characters, so to speak. And how you go about handing out treasure and how they find it and stuff is as essential as the treasure itself. Meaning it should be part of the world and part of the game, and not just as a reward game mechanics like XP or something. That I think that's important. XP is a game mechanic in order to improve characters. The treasure should be seen as an in-game thing, I think, not as a game mechanics thing.
Yeah.
I
do like having dead bodies though. Like, you know, this guy clearly fell down a pit trap and died.
Exactly.
Sure.
There's a
That's cool.
story
You know,
that
Oh,
and he had
absolutely.
something on him.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
demi-lich has some awesome stuff in its cave because the lich kind of expired and left all that stuff, and it's been powerful enough to defend it so no one be able to steal it.
And last night, the Deathmaster had a dwarven brewing barrel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that is an awesome
Which is in
kind
this
of
book.
treasure that is kind of that is special and kind of more fun and gives a kind of a sense to, and it's a dwarven area, so it makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
That's what, Casey, that's what I'm doing now, because the next adventure that we're running Greyhawk wise, Streets of Lukesh, it's all urban.
There it
And
is,
so
dwarven brewing
the
barrel.
bad guys are more like they're you know, I've got a merchant prince, these are all people who are tied in and connected to the overarching framework. And one of the things I'm giving them is like, okay, this merchant prince has these holdings, has these estates, has this bank account, this is the guy who he has for taking care of these things for him, so forth and so on. Not just the muscle that he sends around, but everything else that goes into those trappings of him being somebody who's rich and infamous and so forth.
And now I have to ask, how do you pronounce Lukesh or Lukesh, or how do you
I say
pronounce it?
Lukesh.
Okay, because I've hardly heard it said by anyone, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
That's in the duchy, right? We just
Yes.
had the
Duchy.
duchy people on talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
I was looking forward to that, and I went
we
through and I
even-
made several notes.
Oh,
I
good.
actually went through and changed a couple of things that I had already written down and whatnot, and I was like, okay, well, we're gonna move this around a little bit. So, but yeah.
So here's another a couple things. I don't want to start a fight with this one, but the people who aren't old schoolers won't. I hate treasure types for monsters. I don't use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's way
I just don't
too
understand that.
mechanic-y for me. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's way too mechanic-y. And just having the monster type by like dungeon level 3, you have monsters of this type, and come on. And
Yeah.
the bigger the monster, the further down the dungeon they are. So the big red dragon is somewhere where he can't even get to without being transformed into something smaller. But it doesn't make sense. So
I'm going to go
that's game
completely
mechanics.
contrary. I'm going to start re-interjecting that because I have gone away and haven't used that in forever. And I was like, I want the randomness of it back a little bit. The only difference is going to be is I won't roll it up and then just automatically go, oh, Excalibur, sure, here you go.
All right.
You know, I'll roll it up and then see what it is, and then I might alter it or change it before I duel it out. But who knows? I might stop and do it. But I haven't done that for so long. And there's a couple of streams that I watched that was doing it, and I was like, that's just random. I dig it.
Like in 5e, in my 5e Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign, I told the group, all right, if you defeat this bad guy, you're gonna roll. You guys will get to roll on the random magic item 5e tables because they haven't yet unpacked the items that they have there. This is all part of the Ghost of Saltmarsh magic item seller for those of you who had the book. And So they thought, the players thought it was a lot of fun. But then I also in my head was like, oh crap, what if they roll something that would have been useful in this fight? But then when I built the guy, I had him tweaked out on what's the perfect items he should have attuned. This was Lord Obme, basically. What potions does he already need to have, et cetera, et cetera. So everything could have just been, it doesn't matter if it would have been really cool. He didn't know about it. And they had great fun, but they ended up rolling each person got to roll once and they all rolled potions. So they were all super mad.
Oh, that's completely random.
Yeah. And some of the potions were really good ones in 5e, but they're still one shot.
Oh,
and they were just
jerk.
livid.
I can just imagine their faces.
Yeah, I mean, I was just using the straight up Xanathar's book or the DMG whatever tables, so that was pretty hilarious. But most of the time, I will pre-generate the treasure, so I make sure and go like, you know what? +2 plate armor. Well, that's better than the scale armor I was going to give the bad guy. Let's make sure they're proficient, and then give it to him or whatever.
Yeah.
But there is fun in the randomness.
Yeah, that's where I do the tweaking. So, if they get something that's rolled up, and then it's like, well, it'd be better. Nobody can use that, so maybe I'll change it and then do something else. Yeah.
And you got to keep in mind when you're DMing, you don't want, holy cow, I've got 3 druid items for this low level party, but the wizards and everyone else haven't found a spell book or a magic sword. Or whatever. And just sometimes that happens. You have a string of bad guys who are all very similar and thematic or whatever, and you end up with some, I've got a bunch of thief magic items. Now I need to rebalance for the rest of the party. But
that's when people start going, I know what character I'm going to make next if this guy dies.
Yeah. And then that's when you've switched to, okay, here comes a bunch of magic swords.
Yeah.
And then they get mad.
Yeah. So you can't. A couple good things that are happening in chat now. We have a lot of discussion going on, and Captain Mindmorph, what perception he had on something as far as a magic item goes. I finished up against the Cold and the Reptile God on Thursday night, right? Tom's Shadow Mage Thief died. Now there's a high level scroll in here you find at the very end with a heal spell on it. I added a Raise Dead spell. Now why did I do that? First of all, I killed off a level 2 character with a spell he had no shot at, right? So, secondly, they're gonna probably spend the money if you do go through all that. It was simple enough right at that point, and it didn't affect the gameplay at all, and it gave Tom a little sense of relief. Hey, there's a Raise Dead spell. You can get any cleric as long as they don't fail it. So, the good thing about a magic items in published games are you can change them real easily, right? You can do a quick add, and if there's an item it's +1. Maybe because of where your positioning of your group is, it should be +2, or maybe it should be +1, +3 against magic using creatures or something. So that's the cool thing that as a DM you can make those changes right on the fly, and that's what I did. And it's amazing he caught that and just put that right in chat. I was like, wow, man, that's really cool to know that you saw that.
You're not really going to try and keep your softy DM image in
You mean hardcore?
Yeah, he's not hardcore.
So Rich says the right thing. It's rule number 1 is to have fun, right?
Yes.
And so Anna, did the group have fun last night?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I hope everybody who watched it and interacted with us in chat also felt it was fun.
It was an
I
awesome.
Get to listen to it tomorrow.
Oh, what an awesome game that was!
Yeah.
And just everyone played. And the amazing thing was, would you think an illusionist would be useful against undead?
No. But
she was.
She had some.
She had her moments.
Definitely.
Moments. So Casey, I put in those exploding corpses again.
Oh, the acid exploding.
Well, these were fire. These were fire exploding corpses.
But the ones that Garn loved so much.
Yeah. Well, one got within 10 feet of the party, and Tim's like, "Sure, do something." And everyone ignored it. Got in, and it was ready to blow up right near the party and do massive amounts of damage. And Amy had a ring of an air elemental command, which she wall forced it off.
Oh, cool.
And that was that. And then they blew it up with a spell that automatically hit, and boom. Yeah, it was pretty brilliant, actually.
Yeah, I caught the last hour. Acid vampires. And
hey, I talked about a lot of those monsters the week before in the monster show. I talked about bog mummies and acid vampires.
Yeah,
I did.
Right?
It was a foreshadowing. So plus to have a Len Death Master there. So I think you're good on the drawing. Let me take a look just to make sure. But
treasure hoards, right? Dragons should have treasure hoards just because it's the stereotype, the archetype,
Yes.
the
Oh,
trope.
yes.
Let me check.
Meaning, yeah, but exactly. That's why I
Right.
went to great lengths trying to figure out why dragons have treasure, because I wanted them to have hoards for
I just the
Yeah.
I haven't put it up on the Greyhawk Companion yet.
Why isn't
but
it working, Big
I
Mac?
just wrote another dragon up, and
oh
I think that I think they should all have hordes, but I think the horde should reflect a dragon.
oh yeah.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like the
Yeah.
dragon that I just wrote up is a super
It's
historian.
not you.
And so like it has a huge library of different
Yeah.
types of older tomes and
Yeah,
things
I mean,
along
you
these
go
lines.
to Red Dragon and all you find is tomes and histories and stuff, and you go
Yeah.
to White Dragon and it's ivory and old wall
Exactly. Yeah.
bones and,
Mhm.
and hides and and trophies from all the creatures up there he killed and
Yeah,
it killed
yeah.
and stuff. So no diamonds or gold pieces anywhere, so to speak.
Yeah,
So
I have all the dragons be collectors, but they're
Mhm.
what are
They're-
they amassing?
exactly. They're
Yeah.
collecting something that makes sense for them. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But should good dragons be treasure hoarders? Because you would think the ones that could polymorph would use it to build commercial empires.
I guess it depends on their ambitions, but collectors,
Mhm.
yes, I think that should be in whether they collect things in order to wield political power, economic influence, or just for
Mhm.
greed. But good dragons should not probably be greed. They should probably strive for a higher purpose than just pure
Right.
greed.
Helping the poor.
Yes,
Exactly,
you know,
or
things like
run
that.
run a country or something like that in order to try and do a better job and
Yeah.
secretly help them and
Fund the
gather
building of
knowledge.
churches.
Exactly,
Yeah.
or gather knowledge and train wizards into becoming both powerful and responsible citizens of their area and stuff like that.
And
So,
and
yeah.
gifting to adventurers that you
Exactly,
think
that
are
do
worthy.
the good thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did loan items in Living Greyhawk from a dragon or two, a good dragon.
Yeah.
Because we can't
Interesting.
give Living
That's a good
Greyhawk
idea.
PCs straight up treasure, but you know, this gold dragon wants you to go do a thing. He needs to give you help, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yep.
he,
Mhm.
you know, he's this 2,000-year-old creature with a ton of treasure, and he's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
here's a shiny thing, and it can help you. You
Yeah.
know, and he doesn't care if he gets it back. He's
Yeah.
friggin' rich by everyone
Yeah.
else's standards
Right.
anyway.
Yeah, and I have a silver dragons in my campaign that they what they hoard is friendship. They try to build
Oh, I
as
like
many
that so much.
friendships. They have
gotta
like
write that
a
down.
horde of humans and others creatures that they are friendly with. They're good friends with. So that's what they want, to have good friends with lots of people and have really endearing, good, deep friendship. That's what they're hoarding, so to speak, is friendships. Yep.
So
That's the best thing I've heard all day, Anna.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank
I
you.
like
I had to
that.
write that down.
You roll on the treasure table, and they get like
Yeah.
one friend per platinum piece or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. So they want genuine friendship, people they can interact with.
no, that's a
and-
good. Yeah,
and-
I think Greyhawk dragons especially.
Yeah, exactly. They can. Yeah,
Yeah.
that works for. I would say dragons, and in my campaign they have gold dragons are predominantly lawful good, and I have silver
Yeah.
dragons being mostly neutral good.
Right.
And so that way they are going for the friendship even more than ruling whole nations and the lawful kind of thing. So I think
Most
that
of the good dragons do that. They polymorph
Yeah.
and then hang out amongst
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
'cause
mortals.
bronze,
Exactly.
silver,
Yep,
gold,
yep,
and
that's part of
Greyhawk
their
all can
culture,
do it.
and-
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I forget
Bronze
if
is
that
only
translated to
animals. They,
third and
bronze can't
5e.
do human.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
I like Bill's idea. That's Bill the Master Crafter, right?
yes,
Sash
it
of Scorn.
yes it is.
Keeping evil items out of evil hands. Like, really, if you've got these massively powerful, good aligned dragons on your planet, one of them's going to go, well, this Eye of Vecna sucks. I'm going to
Yes.
go kill that warlord. And I might not be able to destroy the artifact because the artifact has very specific requirements about being destroyed that the dragon can't meet. But I'm going to go squirrel it away in my lair. I'm going to surround it with traps, you know, and I'm just going to sit on the thing and no one's ever going to find it. So to me, a lot of evil artifacts, like Bill says, should actually be off the table, because what group of adventurers, unless, you know, they're crazy evil, is going to go try and fight some ancient gold or silver dragon or some other powerful, good aligned, you
Right.
know, top shelf monster? the answer is none. But then you don't have the evil artifacts really in play in your campaign. But this is my theory: if we turn D&D into a hollow deck, I think that would happen.
Yeah.
Well, true. Yeah, because you always want to go after the big baddies.
Mhm.
So Big Mac asked a question, which on dragons was, should dragons collect the coinage of the type of color they are? And my answer was, dragons like humans. It's all value to them, no matter what color the coin is. Right?
Yeah. I want to tone down the gold, silver, bronze kind of thing. For me, it's more a nickname that people give to dragons. It's not something they identify themselves with, and they are not shiny silver or gold or copper that way. It's more kind of a nickname that humans had given to them.
Yeah, we talked about this during the dragon show, and I'm in complete agreement that dragons should probably be like dinosaurs, and that they almost all look alike with a little variation in physiology.
You need to know your Dragonomicon in order to identify them.
Right. They shouldn't actually be shiny silver.
Exactly. No.
You know, because that's not good camouflage for whatever you're. You know, okay, silver dragons live in the mountains. Maybe they should be rocky. You know, gray, silverish in color, not shiny.
And also, they can be shiny in order to impress or something like that. If they want to, so to speak, they can have a little
like a peacock. They can change their color, or not like a peacock, but you know.
Yeah, but a little bit that way, they can kind of display things in order to impress or something. So, but I think they should. No, yeah. So I toned down that. It's more like a nickname that people use in order to categorize them.
So yeah. Do you have a memory of like whenever you played something that stood out treasure-wise? I have two, and I've repeated them. Actually, one I've repeated multiple times, and it may be just a mundane thing. So I'll give you the first one. And Jason Zavoda always has brought this up, and that is in G1. You find the item, and a dwarf or a small person picks it up, and it says with a magic mouth, "Here's a kiss for you, runt."
Yeah.
Right? So. I mean, Gary humor, right? Gary Gygax's humor. So that's the one that comes to me first. It's like, that was really witty and that was really silly, but it's funny. So, and it's, is that a magic item? It is, but, So what, does anyone have any other ones? I'll tell you another one I have too, which is really, why am I not centered? I'm talking to myself.
Okay.
Any of you have one that you remember, like, wow, that came up in, Casey just was mentioning about the +5 weapon, the adamantite weapon.
I do intelligent weapons.
Oh, I love it.
But,
definitely got to talk about intelligent weapons.
I have plenty that I dislike.
Okay. So what came one and you hated it?
I hate bags of holding.
Okay.
I'm getting there with you.
I just despise bags of holding.
Yeah.
Because it takes an aspect out of the game, and it's all like, oh, we just throw that in our bag of holding.
Yeah,
it's like
So you don't like the portable holes then either?
No, I really dislike those because it's. I mean, when you have a hardware store at your beck and call,
right?
Situation, that sort of thing. No, it takes away the ingenuity of the party to overcome the problems. By something like that.
All right, I'll take
Heward, Sandy, Haversack, all of those.
Exactly.
One step further. Do you hate the Dairn's Instant Fortress then?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I like those things.
Okay.
Leo Min's Tiny Hut. I'm not a fan of that.
No, but I like some of these if they are like a unique thing in one place. Meaning you can have a secret room that is an extra dimension thing. That's some real wizard or something created in order to protect the spell books or something like that. It needs to be something, not a mundane item every other adventure you can buy just to carry their lunch around, so to speak. So,
okay. So when I first started playing with Walt and Tim back in 1980, I believe. I don't know if either of them were on it. Tim will be on probably late. They're saying that Marco's brother-in-law, remember Dan Marco, his brother-in-law Luke made up called the Cloak of Wondrous Space. And if you wore the cloak, but you could actually put the cloak up and you could go inside, and there would either be a room or a series of rooms, almost like a little mini base. So where would you think of something like that? An extra dimensional space with inside the cloak.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
That's cool. It's like
Will hates it, and
I hate it. It's cool for a bad guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's occasional, but if, for instance, example, they talked about it in on Dragon Talk with Coast a few weeks when they talked about the new book Tasha, about Tasha, and her Demonomicon has a secret part of Abyss built into the book. I thought that's brilliant. That is kind of cool in an item like that. That is kind of an artifact in itself. Then you can have cool things like that, but not mundane items that are just a mechanical extension of the game mechanics.
Statler, you're right. It's a rope trick spell, basically. Rope trick creates an extra dimensional space in itself.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct on that. That's a real good point.
Yeah,
okay.
and that's a go-to for adventuring parties as soon as they can cast it, because, get rid of one of the DM's tricks is get rid of nighttime encounters as much as you can.
Yeah.
But then by the time they're higher level, your bad guys come along and dispel magic. That get out here and fight.
They can detect it and get rid of it, so to speak.
Right.
So yeah.
All right. So
but that comes with the fact that all these magic and stuff needs to be balanced from a world building perspective. Meaning, if you had all that magic, how the hell would the world work? So you have to if this is the way I want the world to work, then you have to adapt the magic to fit that. That's what and the rules too, so to speak. So
experience number 2 of an item that I remember. You're going through D2 and you get to, and I believe it's an idol. And I don't know how you would know this, but if you touch and you pull the hand on the other end, you don't say the Croatoan word slobpa or whatever, you get teleported to the elemental plane of water in front of Blipdolpulp as an item, magic item. So this is like a cursed magic item. Am I correct on that, everyone? I think it's D2. And like, that's whoops. We'll popped off there. We'll probably pop back on. So that's the second one I remember. I was like, that's really nasty. Whoever, I'm assuming that's Gary Gygax as well. But that's another fun one. So he's black. He's dark on Discord. I wonder if he had a power outage or something. Or an outage. So, but we'll see. He'll hop back on. So that's another one that I remember. It's in D2, and that's where that is. And I remember that from the early '80s. But there's so many, and so Lexfire asked a question I'd love to get to, and that is, he said, has the group talked about wand staffs and rods, how they recharging it? And that's why I have this up. So let's do that. All right. So here you go. I'm going to answer your question here, because you get into the book and it just says it can be recharged. What do?
Yeah.
You got to set rules up, and I know third edition. What is it? They can redo it themselves. Casey, how's it work in third?
It depends if they have various feats for creating magic items, or the magic item might say on how it can be recharged, or if it was automatic. Wands, though, they weren't generally rechargeable in third edition, right? They had 50 charges.
Really?
And kaput, right? It cost 750 gold pieces for a first level wand to have 50 charges. I do remember that. And then the pricing goes up based on caster level and spell level. So it's a very simple math. 15 gold pieces times spell level times caster level. That's the third edition wand formula math, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but
they weren't rechargeable. Staves, Anna, I forget. We didn't have a lot of staves in play in my third edition days.
Yeah, but it was basically the way they handled it. I think in 3.5 and Pathfinder, they made it into an economics thing, meaning it costs this much to do it. But I've dealt with it the different way. I simply say that if you have the feat in order to craft the item, what you do, if you have a wand of magic missile, for instance, and it has 50 charges, what you do is that you, on your spare time, you cast the magic missile into the wand, and then you get another one. And if you've done that 50 times, you have 50 charges again. That's it.
Yeah, I would have foam ruled that.
Yeah, so if you can cast it twice a day, then it would take 25 days. If you spend,
but there's a cost, right? You had to do the magic ritual so that your spell would go into the wand.
You have to spend a certain amount of material in order to do it. So it costs like 100 gold or whatever it is in order to facilitate that, and it will take you as long as it will take you to cast that many magic missiles.
Here's the issue that I have with that, and there's no issue with what you're saying, Anna. Is I have gamers that are going to squeeze, and this is the Alan and Tim rule again, where one character wanted to. Oh, in my spare
Sorry about
time, I'm going to create all these scrolls, hundreds of scrolls.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're not. You're too busy doing other things.
Exactly.
I don't
That's what
let
I would-
player characters recharge their own stuff.
You never give the player characters that much free time.
You can't exactly.
That will
Unless-
be evil incursions, demon,
Yeah,
whatever.
I can't have it going down that
unless
rabbit
you
hole.
incorporate a system like downtime in 5th edition
Yeah.
or magic item crafting in 3rd edition, which puts a very serious economic and or experience penalty cost, which I disagree with 3rd edition using XP as a component
No,
for
I
magic
hate
item
that.
crafting.
I
But
hate that.
yeah, just get rid of that because it just slows down someone's progression.
Yeah, but it's
But-
downtime. Meaning
Yeah.
in my game, if you run a campaign and you say
There's
you
no
run over
downtime.
the next 6 months, that means that either the magic user sits at home and recharge and makes
Yeah.
once, which will take weeks.
Yeah,
or
that's
he's
a-
out adventuring. And
Right,
That's a
and you can do that.
cloistered
You
ability.
But
can
you
come
might-
up with a system that says, you know what, fine, it takes 1 week to brew a friggin' potion. You know,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
takes a month to write one 1st level scroll.
Yeah.
Like that's why these things are rare
Yeah.
and expensive. You want to
Yeah.
create a suit of magic armor, that's
Well,
going to
that will
take
take-
you
yeah.
frigging a year or more,
Yeah,
if
it will
not
take-
years.
You're
take a
going,
plural.
yeah.
But if you have a wand and then you can top it up by casting 2 more, like, oh, we have 2 days to wait at the end. So okay, I might squeeze 4 charges into it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
possible. If the wizard, instead of going out downtown to find rumors and fixing other things, he sits at the inn in the room and squeezes in 2 or 3, 4 charges of a magic missile into it, and fine.
Yeah.
That works in my campaign. It works really well. And then he burns up a few parchments and whatever little other thing you need, like a wax candle and some magical dust of some sort or whatever that might be in
Right.
order to do it. And then he does it, and he has 4 more charges into it. So yeah.
We're not. Yeah, I'm not going down that rabbit hole because it's just the abuse.
Yeah, but you
Once
don't have
again,
to
I always got to
organize-
think end game abuse.
Yeah, you don't have rules for it. That's part of the
you have
Well,
to,
we
you
do.
need in order to organize downtime between
no for the
adventures.
PCs.
Well,
Right.
first of all, I have the Maester class, which has a lot of crafting in it.
Oh,
Secondly,
yeah.
you're not brewing potions without an alchemical lab or
So go buy
equipment
one.
Yeah.
somewhere.
Hmm.
So why can't your characters just go buy a building that and put a lab in it and then
And
see your guys play so many different characters spread out over a long period of time, and I don't know how you keep track of time yet in the campaign, but if they literally have years between playing
they don't.
in game, not in real time, but let's just say Tim has character X and he last played him in 2015.
Real
well,
time
his-
doesn't convert to game time.
Right. So that's my question. If it's only, hey, we played this guy 5 years ago, but this adventure is set a week after the last one,
Right.
then yeah, they're not going to have time for crafting. But if you do it's 3 years later, and here's the next adventurer for this group, they should be able to do something during their downtime if they have those abilities and or
Yeah, no.
feats or alchemical lab or whatever. But you would need to strictly control it.
I don't want a min-maxed world, and that's what's it's going to end up being. You know that.
Well, you also have a different world. Ann and I
Yeah.
both have a world where the NPCs and the PCs can do the exact same things. Like
Yeah.
I never have an NPC that can do something that the PCs can't, unless it's just some weird aberration
Yeah.
from an outer plane or something
Yeah,
like
but
that.
I would.
But rules wise,
Yeah.
mechanics
Exactly, yeah.
are the mechanics, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
Is there a
If
gold
an NPC
piece
can manufacture
value?
the
Connected to it.
There's got to be. There's got to be a gold piece
That's
value
the way I
connected
look
to
at it.
Oh
to-
yeah, you have.
yeah.
They have to be an economic
Yeah.
component,
Right.
but you can use both time and economics in
Yeah.
order to make it feasible. Meaning, and you simply have to say how much magic items do you want in the world. Meaning, is magic something that is there to solve everything in the world? Then you can make it very easy to manufacture. If they use all sorts of magic stuff, but if magic is rare and exceptional, then it should take a long time to produce or
Yeah.
to recharge items.
or you need a
So-
widget that
Yeah.
only the Wizards Guild in the Free City of Greyhawk has been able
Yeah.
to build. And
Yeah.
it's like a microwave oven, right? You stick the wand into it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
shove a bunch
exactly,
of
yeah.
platinum
I saw the
pieces.
cartoon. It's a skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. I totally forgot about
Yeah.
that. Or it's a unicorn horn or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you shove the platinum pieces into it and gems, and then it goes.
So there's my question is how prolific is magic? Like, do you have magic shops in your worlds?
Very
I have
rarely.
one.
I have less and less.
I've one and that's in
Yeah.
Greyhawk City.
Yeah, I
That's it.
have very my games are compared to the rules of 3.5 and Pathfinder and stuff. I probably have like a quarter as much magic or something like that. So it's rare, and it's not everyday stuff anywhere. But on the other hand, among the high and mighty and powerful and rich, then it's there, so to speak. But it's not shops that general public can go in. But it might be that a king might say that, oh, I want to have a new set of armor and some new magic weapons made or whatever. So he calls in the best artisans and people from the kingdom and the nearby kingdoms to have a feast and to present their best wares for me and my nobles. And they make it into the festivities. And if you go there will be almost like a magic shop. And then there are like legendary sword makers in certain areas. And in order to get there, you have to have an odd, you have to book a time, and you have to be of certain renomme, and you have to be able to speak properly to his agent and representative in order to gain audience to it, and so on and so forth. Because the ones that can manufacture these things are highly sought out, and most of them work directly, meaning a powerful king and a ruler will simply hire them and pay them to not work for anybody else, just for me and my thing. So in order to gain access, you have to basically be best buddy with the king and help him. That will grant you something, or you simply become a knightly. If you're a member of the Knight Order of the Heart or the Knights of the Shield, then all of a sudden you get access to it, because then the Order of the Shield, they provide their knights with the magic whatever, and that's one of the draw. The best fighters in the world want to be members because they get access to the coolest gear.
I try to attach it to organizations like healing potions come from the church. You know,
it's an income for the church.
Exactly.
Sell them.
Yeah.
So in 5e, I have a shop in my Ghosts of Saltmarsh because it's right there in the friggin' book, you know, for Saltmarsh. You know, spoiler alert, it's not really a spoiler. But in my Saltmarsh campaign, I've actually had the PCs not trusting this particular NPC for various obvious reasons, if you've got that book. And so they go to the nearby town of Seaton, which I'm fleshing out. And there they have to do 5e equivalents of gather information checks. Essentially, I'm looking in Xanathar's now for 5e, and there they make a persuasion check to kind of bop around town and, hey, do you know anyone selling magic items? And so for me, the better the result, like the more they've impressed someone, or they found a rich dead person's estate sale. Like, you know, hey, 70 years ago, Lord so-and-so was actually a young fighter who adventured, and he has no heirs. It's an estate sale. Hey, look, here's a +2 longsword that's up on the auction block that the local wizards have identified, or whatever. Things of that nature. In 3rd edition and Living Greyhawk, we had just assumed there were magic item shops everywhere, because that's what 3rd edition wanted. It wanted the PCs to have every single slot filled with magic items. And then in Pathfinder Society, they're very similar. They have a slightly toned down version of Living Greyhawk's magic item access. But you know, in my personal opinion, you might have a few potion shop. You might know the wizard who all he does is write some scrolls in his free times, but everything else should be like, hey, we know this adventuring party just came back from some dungeon and they're offloading some things. Let's go chat with them. You know, that kind of thing. Not an actual shop that just happens to sell magic armor.
I'm going to tell you what the magic shops I've gotten away from for number one reason is that there's nothing in the game that I know of that can stop a good group of thieves.
Well, there is, but it's also high level. It doesn't make any sense, in my opinion.
I understand that, but just in a game balance perspective, there's
but that proves it to me that the only ones who have that stuff is the one powerful enough to defend it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have it. That means that meaning it's big city like Greyhawk or something where you have these artisans and the ones that can produce this stuff and sell it and broker it, whatever, they flock to big cities because that's where they get the protection, and the city want that business, so they make sure that whoever is guarding it there are meaning the top rogues or thieves in the world. They will go and work there because that way they can take less risk and hone in the money, so to speak, by being the tough ones. So there will probably some of the best thieves wouldn't be not the ones stealing it. They will be there guarding it from making sure others didn't steal it, so to speak. So if you want to have easy money as a thief, then you go and work. That's why the thief guild basically runs the city, because they are the expert at it. And so the thief collecting, they collect instead they basically run a racketeer thing. They say that come here and pay us taxes and we will not steal from you. And if it's tax collection, and the ones that don't pay taxes, you go out and steal all the everything. So that makes it work, so to speak. That's always how I see the Greyhawk cities run by thieves, and the merchants and others like it because it's very effective, and it means that if I pay my taxes, I'm get away free. It's a
right.
Yeah.
But think about casinos. Oh, sorry. Well, I wanted to tack on it. If you imagine that in the world, a ninth level thief is a true badass, right? He should be. Hell, a fifth level thief probably doesn't even exist on our planet, as far as we think in game mechanics. But a ninth level thief, right? You're like, oh man, this guy could easily go in. He could become invisible. He can sneak. He can teleport in or whatever. A wizard thief. Well, a shop that sells magic items enough to make a profit off of at thousands of gold pieces per sale, because third edition assumes a 50% profit for these people. That guy could afford his own ninth level wizard who's put up the spells, the wards, the alarm spells, the illusions, or everything goes up into the Liamon's tiny hut at night, right?
Yes.
And then that becomes invisible. So if there's a ninth level thief, there's also a ninth level wizard or cleric or fighter or paladin who's also thinking, how do I defend these things for my boss? So I get away from that. I'm thinking more like casinos, right? Constant eye in the sky security. People always wandering around, and they can be low level schmucks, but in 5th edition, low level schmucks can kill you just as well. There just has to be enough of them.
It's true. All right, now let me answer Lex Fire's question, please.
Sorry,
we went on a
no.
Now I want to stat out a casino that sells magic items.
Oh yeah, but it's kind of, to me, those are very interesting world building conundrums.
Absolutely, 100%. Definitely. All right. So
also there is a secondary thing that comes with it, meaning you can have one kind of shop that will be much more common, I think, than the shop actually selling magic items, is the one selling components and stuff. That will be
like an alchemist shop.
Exactly.
That just sells,
meaning they sell the stuff you need in order
that makes total sense.
Facilitate magic.
That does.
And stuff. Yeah.
Alchemy shops and spell component shops and bakers and all
risky and
sorts
much
of other.
easier. You go out and collect the little spiders and the guano
that makes
or
total
whatever
sense.
It needs to sulfur and all that stuff, so to speak.
And that's why the Greyhawk box set's so good, because of all the guilds in it, and it really goes over a lot of that too. So that's definitely.
So I see that as a very viable business.
That absolutely is. Components and smelting and all the other things.
And risk-free and doesn't require that much skill, more than tenacity and a business sense, so to speak.
And even just low-level stuff like one-time use things. Like when it comes to healing, I love Kiltman's ointment. I think that's one of the better ones.
I love Kiltman's ointment. 9 to 12 hit points in 1 E2E.
Yeah. Well, because you have to apply, it's not like something in the middle of combat. Oh, hold on.
It rubs the lotion on its skin.
Exactly. I prefer that.
But there's another side to magic items, especially low-level magic items, the standard +1 swords and +1 armor and stuff. I don't even treat that as magic per se. I just treat that as done by someone who really knows how to make a suit of armor or swords or whatever. Yeah,
super masterwork.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Super masterworks, even more super masterwork as well. And it's magic involved in it, but I don't see them as particularly magic items per se. The ones that can transform and are talking and very special ones that can do, they are the true magic stuff. The other ones are just fancy, luxurious, effective, really cool weapons, so to speak. So more than magical. And if you have ritual casting of spells and stuff, that makes perfect sense that the really good swordsmith know a ritual or two in order to infuse various cool things in their weapons, so to speak.
Right, but in AD&D, right? Didn't they already discuss that +1 is the weapon is made out of mithril, +2 it's made out of adamantine?
No.
Yeah.
It's in the DMG.
No.
Okay.
Plus 1 and 2 is not anything specific. This is old school. Plus 3.
3, 4, and 5.
3 is meteorite steel.
Okay, which is a real thing.
It's a real thing. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't. So it has to be a plus. Plus 4 is mithril.
Okay.
Plus 5 is adamantite.
Right. So
It's
why
in-
should
it's in
these
the-
detect as magical under the detect magic spell?
Well, no. They could be enchanted to plus. That
they
high
can
plus.
hold the
They
enchantment.
hold the
Yes.
enchantment.
Yes.
They don't
Ah.
provide the bonuses. Okay. I
Exactly.
actually kind of like Anna's idea that, just give me adamantine,
Yeah.
like Wolverine's claws or
Yeah, and they
Captain
have special
America's
properties,
shield
like
for vibranium.
like in 3rd edition, the various materials gave special properties to it. Like you can
Right.
make a weapon in silver, then it can do this, and if you make it adamantine, then it can do something else and stuff. So
Right.
and then you can enchant it, but the enchantment to me is simply that whoever makes it knew his stuff or his or her stuff in order to make a superior weapon or superior armor or something, more than necessarily treat it as magic in that way, that it radiates magic.
I'm not a fan, and I think Gary just said no magic stuff. So I'm not a fan of magical production of just mundane magic items. I just in the game, I'd rather they get found, and who knows wherever they are. I don't need to
I just see
describe
them
them.
as
I
better
want,
produced items. Yeah, high
yeah,
quality items.
I'd rather have them find like items with special abilities and name. And Will was going to go on that intelligent swords, but now Lex, here we go. If it has 0 charges in my game, it's done. So if you use a wand of magic missiles and you drain it down to 0 charges, you can't get it recharged. We have major cities. We have Altamira, Hardby. We have Greyhawk. Wherever you are in your adventuring, there's usually a guild of wizardry or some other item or some other location that you can spend money. And I have the chart here. We've gone, myself, Alan, and Bill put this together. I mean, it only shows half of it, but these are a lot of wands, rods, staves in our game, and that's the charge cost. Some of them, if they're not on this list, they cannot be recharged. And then there's a note next to them, like Arthur Kane to give you one, like a rod of alertness. You have to have a 16th level cleric do it. So odds are you're not going to have anyone recharging it. If it's out of those realms, you're not just getting it recharged. There you go. That's how we handle it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's hopefully that answered the question there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's.
I don't want player
different ways
characters
you can-
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and after every special Saturday night I get to play with Jay, I'm immediately emailing Jay and saying like, how much is it going to cost to get this wand of healing?
Yeah.
recharged?
Yes, you're
Because
taking
I don't wanna
advantage of it.
forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then
And
I
there's
mean,
my second favorite magic item to hate.
What's that?
yeah, the
Wands
wand.
of healing. Hate
Okay,
those.
I have no problem with that, Will, and I don't give him out that much, but say occasionally when I like he got it because I knew that they were going to be low on healing in the party, right, with one cleric in there, and I knew it was going to be. So I kind of that's how I handle that. You know what I mean? Just
I
to,
prefer to use potions and like the Kielman's ointments.
I have no
things
problem
like
with that. I agree 100%. I like the healing items because only priests can use them, and potions anyone can use. So if your cleric gets killed,
yeah.
in that case, yeah. So I mean, it's 101 either way.
And that's the limiting class of it in the older editions kind of makes that more feasible, whereas in later editions anybody can just pop off stuff out of one.
Yeah, 5e goes a little nuts with
Yeah.
that, right?
So there
I
you
don't
go.
think they limit wand use by
Well,
spell.
By class.
Class,
A lot of it's by class. Now, you ready for argument number 2? Casey's going to get on me on this one, so
Oh,
here
God.
we go. Here we go.
Halfling wizards.
Well, you heard that story, right?
No, but let's go on to number
You were-
2. I
yeah,
was just
so,
teasing you.
Amy
I
wanted.
agree with you. There should be halfling wizards, though, Casey.
Not in old school. So Amy wanted to play an illusionist, and so she's like, and I said, well, you can play a straight human illusionist, or you can even go multi-class gnome. And she goes, I really don't like gnomes. And in the next line I see it says, I'm going to play a halfling, and I just went, I said, yeah. I was like, no, you're not.
It's just again, if you hollow deck the world, these races would all learn the arcane arts. They would all have clerical spellcasters except for the Renee. Dwarves would not survive any
Why
form of
except for the
warfare
Renee?
with
I don't even
elves
want to get
if
in
they
that
did not
discussion.
have
All right.
dwarven wizards.
Yeah, Jay, why'd you bring it up?
I brought it up.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's just why your system is wrong, Jay.
yes, it's wrong, but you all love playing in it. So there you go. So
true.
catch 22. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is my Master Sword List table chart. Now the question always comes up: why don't you just use a bastard sword instead of a longsword? All right, and then you have your Falx on here, which is an even nicer weapon than the bastard sword. So what we've done is, if you saw the game last night, and what a unique named NPC, Radek Bonk. If you're a hockey person from the '90s, you know that name. My half-orc fighter thief. He had a Sayax. Now a Sayax is a Viking longsword, right? Similar, correct, Anna?
Sounds right.
Oh, I'm not an expert at that.
Okay,
so
so Sayax, but if you notice on this chart, Sayax has the same hit and damage as a longsword. But in my game, it's not the same proficiency. So he had a Sayax with a special power on it, and it's not an intelligent weapon, but I love giving out, and Will, I think you do too, intelligent weapons and weapons with like special abilities.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this had a very powerful special ability, and he's an 8th level fighter, but he's using it in his primary hand because it had a special ability to it, and he wasn't proficient, so he had a penalty wielding it. But if that special ability went off, it was worth it. So that's kind of the way around. Why do you always take the best type of weapon for your race, and you take a cool weapon with. That's up to the DM. Flavor, Bill. Exactly. There you go. One word. He said it. Flavor's the reason why. And I just wanted to bring that up as an example. And this chart, like I said, this chart and the wand recharge chart, if you want them, I'll give them out to you. Anyone who wants them. This is all, remember, it's all in old school rules, but still, who cares? So.
But that brings up an interesting kind of side thing on this, meaning a weapon, does it need to be distinguished mechanically if it's a different weapon, or is it enough that you can have the same stat, meaning it could be it does 1d8 damage and double damage on a crit or whatever the rule says, but it still be different, meaning for some people it's enough if you just say, oh, this is some sort of weird dwarven axe and stuff, but mechanically it's no different than a longsword. Well, for me that will be okay because it's mechanically every weapon doesn't need to be unique, so to speak, but it's fun, so to speak. But for some people it's important that a weapon has a mechanic attached to it, and it depends on what your purpose is when you run your games. We all run our games for slightly different purpose, and we want to put our emphasis into slightly different things. For some people, the mechanics and the fact of winning and getting the number crunching is more fun than for me, for instance, and that means that's perfect. So we have our different emphasis. So more like, how interesting is that part of the game for you, so to speak?
If I'm running a military campaign, I want all those different halbers out of
you want the
unearthed arcana.
You want the whole thing kind of
So that's a good point. So for example, last night, because those rules were going away, and I don't know what they did in 3rd edition, and so two-handed weapons do damage. Strength damage is 1.5 times. So at certain points, Chuck's character, Josh Death Dealer, was fighting with his +1 halberd. He also had improved crit with his halberd, not his longsword. But then when he tanked, he went longsword shield.
Get your armor class up.
His armor class
or
up.
Down.
Plus, he had a +2 longsword, and he didn't have, So there you go. So there was different reasons for different ones, and we kind of have put that variety back in the game, having different weapons, always doing different. And this is just swords on this table right here. I mean, pole arms would be this whole length as well. I love variety of weaponry. I do.
3rd edition codifies that.
Okay.
I like what 5th edition did when it streamlined it down somewhat and giving the weapons properties like the versatile. Where
but isn't that just an extension of 3rd edition saying like this one has reach, this one doesn't, this one can trip, this one can shove or whatever.
That's just the I like having those different variations on weapons.
And slightly different damages.
I would like to see more of those reincorporated out of 3rd into 5th, to tell you the truth.
Well, part of the variation though was the crit threat range, and there is no such thing in 5th edition without the feat. Right, the fighter improved crit ability or feat.
That's the only guy who gets it.
Right, that's it.
You get the feat or that one character subclass. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know if Tosh has introduced it for spells or magic items yet. I haven't looked. that close.
From one flipping through it, I didn't see it as such. But.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's neat. Because in real world historical examples, every single polearm had a different job.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
units of soldiers who wielded that specific polearm had a specific job on the battlefield.
This was for pulling the guy off the horse. This is for pulling down the shields in the shield wall. Blah,
This
blah,
was for chopping the horse's leg off.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
poor horses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah.
And,
but then, Jay, the problem is, I think that, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And if someone who took proficiency in longsword finds this long CX weapon, which is mechanically identical, 3 to 4 pounds, does 1d8 damage, can be wielded one-handed or two-handed. It's a frigging longsword.
Don't ever say that to Tim.
So, no, that's ridiculous because the proficiency is so rare in your system and in other editions. That's why AD&D actually created the weapon groups, because they realized, well, this is kind of silly. The fighter only knows how to use a dagger and a longsword. Like, really, he should know how to use all the swords if he spends his time doing that, or all the axes.
That's not AD&D. That's third.
Yeah, that's an AD&D. That's second edition.
Second edition, no.
Is AD&D, Jay.
Yeah, but second edition has proficiency still.
Yeah, and they did the weapon groups.
Yeah, that's why. But
that's when you start getting the weapon speeds and the weapons versus armor class.
No, that's first edition.
No, that's first edition.
Yeah, that's all. I think it's just a matter of what level of crunch you like.
Exactly.
Oh, that's fair.
If you like crunch, then I mean,
you can specialize it down into
Yeah, then you should definitely incorporate those.
Sure.
If you don't care for that, then again, it's just the same thing like we were talking about the type of weapons versus the type of campaign.
Yeah.
So
it's not based, it's optional.
You get into the fact that no such thing as a longsword is different from a bastard sword, right? It's an arming sword.
I got it.
Yeah. If we were to use the correct historical terminology, the longsword is a bastard sword. But for whatever reason in the 70s, despite all this great research they put into the game, they made longswords and bastard swords distinct. And we've stuck with that since time immemorial now.
I think the difference, the main difference is one's a 1.5 and one's a one hand. That's the difference. Right? A longsword's a one hand.
No, you can use
weapon.
a longsword with two hands in like every edition. Right?
No.
I'm pretty sure you can in AD&D.
Well, it's a one hand. No, it's a one-handed weapon.
That's what I think too. I think that is a
longsword's one.
Well, in third edition, you could use it one or two handed. In fifth edition, you can use it one or two handed.
That's guides a hand and a half. But so I knew we get a little off. But I just wanted to say on that
magical
variety. The only point I'm trying to say is the variety is a way for you to introduce magical, obscure items. You can take a weapon that they've never heard of. I don't care how you codify it as he's proficient or not with it. That's up to you as a DM, right? I'm just saying, you find a Ransuer of skewering, which does triple damage or something on a crit, and it's keen and it crits on the 19th, whatever. You can take those bizarre weapons. Like, we love Dacian Falcons. We brought the Falcons into the game, I don't know, in the 90s. And it's really a crazy weapon, and it's a devastating weapon, but it's rare. And maybe Bill, what do you think? 3 characters are really specialists in it, and Falcons. If he's on still, he'll tell me. And I've given out a magic item here and there of it, but it's just something to change things up.
Like you were saying, flavor. That's the flavor of
it
all. Yeah.
And they should have a story. Why is this?
Exactly.
If it's a rare so if it's a rare weapon, compared to, say, longswords, war hammers, and maces. So why did this paladin 300 years ago commission the crafting, of a magic, I don't know, polearm, right? It should be a cool story behind it. But then you just find it in some bad guy's treasure, or you kill a bad guy who has it, and you throw it in your bag of holding, and then you go to the magic item shop and sell it, and then it's like the story doesn't matter. That kind of is lame, I like the items that are rare to have stories, but
that depends on the players.
It depends on the campaign.
Exactly.
Yeah, if there's like a special mark on the sword, and your players are to kind of go, oh, I want to know what that is. Let's go and research it. Well, then there's a backstory to that sword. Or if they go straight to, hey, let's hawk this thing at the pawn shop, then there's no backstory.
And I always say the following too: if you're trying to sell something in that magic shop, or you're trying to sell it at a mercenary guild hall, finding a buyer is not necessarily going to happen right off the bat, right? And that's another a thing you got to consider, is that you're not going
Yeah,
to.
and it might be a very powerful or whatever, but if it's not the cultural flavor and stuff that they appreciate there, they might simply say, that's some foreign crap. I don't want that stuff. I'm used to fighting with a club or whatever, meaning go to the giants and then say, I want something big and hefty that I can.
That's why I
slam
think.
someone with.
That's why I think like fantasy pawn shops.
Yeah,
That's the way to go.
yeah.
Because the guy comes in, is like, "What do you got here?" It's like, "Oh
Well,
man, I can't.
yeah.
I'm not going to be able to sell this here."
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah,
all right, tell you what,
Trading posts too, yeah, absolutely.
You're hurting me. I'll give
I
you
have no
100.
problem with that.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's worth
You
$1,000.
can do also-
And he's like, "I'll give you 100 for it." You know,
and then
It's like-
someone raids a dragon horde and in comes thousands of
wrecks the
items
economy.
and exactly they flood the
That's
whole
true, too.
economy, and everybody would say that, oh, I don't pay anything. Well,
That
you
gets
pay
you to
100 gold,
taxation.
all of a sudden
right?
money is everywhere, but bread is nowhere to be found, so to speak, because everyone is just sitting there and whatever. So that inflation goes through the roof for a while, so you can have fun playing out stuff like that.
All right, give me an item that's in print in any edition that you love, or you love and hate it at the same time. You really hate it. Will, I know you probably know one.
Vorpal swords.
You love them or hate them?
Yeah, I like them.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
What do they crit on? Just critical hits? 20s?
I think 19 and 20.
So they're keen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
you can have
every.
different ones.
Because
One
I like
in
them
10.
being dangerous, but I also like if you fumble with them. Whoops.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's a good. That's a good idea.
That's
Yeah.
question number 2. Is there a difference between a sword of sharpness and a vorpal sword?
Yeah, because sort of sharpness. Well,
Sword of
Not
sharpness
really.
is limbs.
yeah, it's just limbs.
It can be head,
with the
too.
Sword
One-
of sharpness, does it still qualify for being able to lop a head off?
Yes, 1 in 10 shot. It's 1,
Okay,
2,
so-
yeah, 1 in 5. 1 in 5.
Yeah. But
Okay, I was just curious to see if there's a distinction. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
Casey, nice shirt on there tonight. So
Yeah.
All right, so now
I
I'm
think Sword of
I knew
Sharpness should have.
I'd anger you tonight.
nah.
Sword of Sharpness
you
should have,
you're
like,
not angry at me.
bleed.
I think it's funny.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Will.
But-
Like a Sword of Sharpness should have bleed damage to it, which would separate it in my.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
so it's a wounding weapon. So, but that's a
Yeah.
sort of wounding.
Well, see, that's a sword of wounding then. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I played the Vorpals and stuff a little bit different, and sharpness. I haven't distinguished between the two, but the way they are Vorpal are just, they cut down into the negative hit points right away, so to speak.
Or they'll
they-
cut in through like stone.
yeah,
Like a
well,
Vorpal
yeah,
will
that
cut
might
through
be-
anything, and a
that
Sword
might
of
be
Sharpness
interesting.
is designed mostly just for hacking
They
apart.
should be
Oh,
extremely.
that's an interesting thing, but
Yeah.
I take it that Vorpals are real dangerous because they cut through thing, meaning they all that fancy
So-
hit points at the top. You get straight in on a crit, you just start doing negative right away, so to speak. So, and if enough to kill, then you decapitate in one go.
So,
So they are lethally dangerous that way.
They
Also, too, a Vorpal against, say, like magical armor, if you're using rules for damage of equipment.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
Say, like
Yeah.
you like, say you're going up against a big bad guy, and he's
Mhm.
he's rocking out with a +2 plate armor, and you
Yep.
go to town on him with a Vorpal sword, and then afterwards, like, cool, let's loot him, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, that armor's no good anymore
Yeah,
it was-
it should be
because
like
it was
that more
cut to
often.
pieces. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it adds another level of
Yeah,
crunch,
and that would
but
be like for me, it would be like if the armor is more powerful, has more plus than the Vorpal, then it wouldn't work, and vice versa. So
Right.
so if it's like meaning a +5 Vorpal will cut through almost anything. So yeah,
oh,
Yeah.
+5 Vorpal. That's crazy insane.
then
That's as
you're like
nasty
the
as it
top
gets.
of the, meaning only get
Yeah,
us a
that's-
Demon Lord or someone like that would have a weapon of that caliber. That would
Right.
basically, but that will start cutting out at 0 point when he crits. You will get from 0 to -40 hit points, meaning you're dead. If he crits with that thing, then you're
Yeah,
history, so to
that's
speak,
nasty.
unless you have a +5 whatever holy armor or something to.
and
to-
all Vorpal should go.
Yeah, exactly, that will hum
In third
through the
edition,
air.
that's the brilliant energy weapons, right?
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
made
Yeah. Mhm.
they
Yep.
actually did have lightsabers in third
Yep.
edition.
We
But
did too.
the Ranger in the cartoon had a brilliant energy weapon. He had
Yeah.
a ranged lightsaber. essentially.
The bow.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
some ways,
We
although it
had them
didn't really
called
cut people.
planar blades, is what we
Yeah.
called. And in fact, that was not made up by me. It was made up by another guy in high school, and then, of course, ripped off from Star Wars. But they're called planar.
Yeah, but then you
blades.
get into the whole like, right, the lightsaber should be ignoring armor class because it can cut right through most things except Beskar steel. Apparently, spoiler warning. If you haven't watched Mandalorian, you need to catch up.
Oh, the
Yeah,
black lightsaber.
I know, right? You're a couple weeks behind if that was a spoiler. So in third edition, they had brilliant energy, which ignored various types of armor, just like the Ranger's bow basically essentially did in the cartoon. But I think for me, I'll go old school. I'm actually looking at my Living Greyhawk characters list of magic items, and A, it's ridiculous how many things are on here. But B, they're all pretty mundane stuff. It's like I built her to have, she's got gloves of Dex, belt of giant strength. This is all third edition. Boots of speed, rings of protection, mind shielding, blah, blah, blah. But if I think old school to when we were kids, it was the deck of many things. And I know there's a love-hate with it. So I was DMing, and anytime we just ran out of stuff to do, either we finished the mod, the PCs were too high level for me to throw anything at them, I would just say, fine. I think you find a deck of many things in either the Greyhawk Ruins, whichever the one is with the 3 towers.
Yeah.
The
1E2E version. Yeah,
there's like maybe a set of steps on the ground in one of the rooms that function equivalently as a deck of many things. So they would run across that once they'd discovered it. But the only thing that could kill high-level adventurers is eventually other high-level adventurers. So then they would draw the card that makes them fight a clone of themselves. Their treasure disappears, whatever. To me, the deck of many things was a way of just saying, I'm bored with this. We are done after this. What are we doing next?
Okay, fair enough. Anna, do you have something you hate or love?
Yeah, I have one that I actually like that appeared very early on. I think there's one in Hamlet even, and that's the Flame Tongue, the old.
You love them or hate
sword.
them?
I love them.
I love them too.
Yeah. It's one of that was the first kind of magic item that was kind of really cool. I thought that when one of the probably session 2 or something when I played D&D, and that was very very early on, and it's one of these items that the flaming sword kind of really stuck to, and it's kind of just being the kind of just being an icon, so to speak. And I still love it. It's simple and but still kind of fantasy.
And the great thing is that I differentiate. The Flame Tongue's a special weapon compared to a flaming sword that does 1 point of fire damage. So the great thing about a Flame Tongue is it goes right through webs, right? Mm-hmm. If you attack a troll with it, it's not regenerating. Yep. It's +4 against undead. Right?
Yep.
It's +4 against undead, and some other cold using it's +2, and I think Avian's +3. It's a really cool item, and it's a good way to introduce, and it's only +1 base. It's kind of like what a Sword of Sharpness is. That's one of the downfalls to the Sword of Sharpness is usually in old school it was only a +1 weapon, so sometimes it's certain things. There's the ever mysterious Tim is on too. So, but yeah, it's a great item. So if we're sticking in weapons, and a lot of people didn't notice this last night, but Bill's character, Sorsha, did not get damaged the entire adventure, right? Not once. And she had she had -9 armor class, first off. And she did not go dual wielding like she had the capability of doing. She kept her shield out.
-9?
Yeah, negative
at that level.
She's still 7, but remember she's dual class. She went all the way up to 7th level ranger, then is now going all the way to 7th level knight, which is a worse table than paladin. So she's really putting in her time, and she still can't use her ranger abilities.
What the hell's getting a 6th level, 7th level PC to -9 in AD&D?
What's not getting hit?
12 levels.
I rolled.
Yeah, well, it's like 9 levels, really.
Yeah.
The XP math.
Adventuring time.
Yes.
And so
I already Canadian. I did. I told John to drive safely when he was heading to Memphis. I did do that. Absolutely. So, absolutely, I told him, and I met with him before the show. So, he was rolling a lot of dice, and we didn't really. The Rod of Flailing was what this character has. It's the only one that I know of as a PC in the campaign. What a nasty, and it's right in Undercannon. What a nasty weapon that is. Because it has multiple ball heads, right? And here it is. So you roll twice for each one. And if you get multiple attacks, then she gets 2 attacks around. She's rolling 4 times each round with this weapon, and with all bonuses and all pluses the damage and all. So I kind of love this weapon in the hands of a bad guy. But if they get killed and it goes to a good guy, I don't want another one in my campaign. So I am not yet. Yes, and also right in the book here. And if you want to go to your Unearthed Arcana, page 94, right? Rod of Flailing. There it is. Okay, see that? There it is. Rod of Flailing. 94. You can have the proficiency as a horseman's mace or footman's mace, your choice. So there you go. So you have 2 options with it.
See, that would be one where if they fumbled, I'd have them be smacking themselves with it.
Oh yeah, that's kind of an obvious, fumble on.
That's what happens with a flexible weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, but it's one that I love, but I hate it at the same time because there's a lot of those kind of weapons you don't want to. Here's another example. So Amy gives me her sheet of stuff that she wants to have her character to have, and within 5 seconds, I go. I said, Amy, I'm sorry, you have 2 banned items on your list, and immediately
contraband in your campaign.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you ready, Bill?
Jay's about to blame me for it.
No, I'm not on these. I'm not on these. But here's number 1 for a player character. Cloak of Displacement. Okay.
Yeah. But I have a lot of stuff that I
automatically,
campaign, so
melee combat. First
I'm
attack
in the
always
process
misses.
of trying to get rid of those from my campaign.
Yes, they're net. Second one, is this thing. There's no save. I don't understand this item at all because this is like God power, and that's a Rod of Beguiling. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a nasty item. So she had those on her. Like Amy, no. Just no. I said if I was on Twitch, the No Just No head that I have for Tim would have come up 10 times.
But did you let her play the halfling?
No. She played a human illusionist, and I let her keep a ring of elemental command. I gave her bracers armor class 6 instead of no bracers at all, and I did something else for her. And she had fun.
She did a good job.
She did a good job, and I'm just saying, there's some items I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
She saved everybody from that exploding.
Yeah, we're talking about that before, Tim. So, but and I'm assuming we all have those items that I don't know. Whatever edition you play, Casey, you gotta have them too. You just don't want to give out, man.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I definitely
You're muted, Casey.
had them, but when I
Kinda
started, I'm seeing it as part of the world build. I mean, they need to function in the world, and if they would function in the world and not upset the world too much, then I don't think it's a problem even if the players had it. But the players should not have like super things that just makes them superhuman.
Unless you build a campaign around that, right? If we look to fiction,
Mhm.
there's plenty of great examples where, Joe the Putz accidentally has some crazy powerful magic item fall into his lap. Like, it's not a great book. Spoiler, Aragon. He ends up with a baby dragon, right? Becomes some dragon rider, and he's just a schmuck.
Greatest American hero.
Yeah, that's a great
With
example.
the alien powers, right? So
Yeah.
that's like a mythic campaign where you take a dude who's got like 3 hit points, a high school teacher, if I remember correctly, and gains alien powers and starts racking up the XP, but doesn't really learn anything. But you could build a campaign around where your low level schmucks inherited, hey, grandfather had a friggin' +5 longsword.
Yeah.
And you get it, but then you have to balance. And really, it should be your uncle wants the +5 longsword. He's coming after you, like
Or
the
if
evil
the world
uncle.
realize
trope.
that you have it, and they will come after you to get it. So you have to be
Right.
powerful enough to hold on to it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Or exactly like Frodo in the Ring. That is exactly right.
Mhm.
But Kraken wins for nickname on the
And then
internet
you will
tonight.
get the
By
Death
the
Knights
way,
coming after you to steal it because they will either they don't want
Yeah.
you to have it or they want to have it. So yeah.
and there's a lot of items out there like that, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of it was my fault in the early days when I tried to
we
challenge
all go
them.
through our Monty Hall period where we just hand out stuff that comes from whatever book
Yeah,
without thinking.
I've
about it.
learned. I've learned.
Jay, you give out a ton of magic items
I was
because
Are
gonna
you're
you
very
kidding me? My
generous.
guys bitch all the time. I don't give out enough.
No, Bill and Tim and the rest of you guys, he gives out at least 1 to 2 magic items per session per campaign ending. right? Per
Yeah.
Adventure
because
ending.
sometimes it takes you guys 3 weeks to finish a thing and
Hey,
get the
hey,
treasure.
hey,
And you're doing that every single time you get these characters to finish an
Yeah.
adventure. Garn is loaded up with magic items more than I thought it would be. The duelist guy Yisak is. So I think he's actually pretty generous with the magic
But
items
you're
compared to like
forgetting
how
that-
I was during AD&D.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Casey, you're forgetting we're getting them off the bodies of the bad guys, so they
Right.
were using them on us.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
what we talked about earlier. Is they should be using them against
Yeah.
you. You guys don't have to run away enough, and including me. So I'm. If their 18th level wizards show up in the future, Jay, I want to see nukes from orbit next time. I don't want to see these 9th level guys killing an 18th level wizard ever again.
Oh my gosh!
But
But
that's
it
a whole
was
different
insane. It was an
discussion.
insane character. There's a difference, man. Plus,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
that to for Reaper. I did that for a Reaper show. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But that is also part of it. When you run a stream game, you want to have more fancy, cool stuff in the adventures. You need to beef up your game a bit.
and good point, Anna. You can now, and Bill will attest to this. You can get those exotic weapons on the figures, and we try to do that and make them
yeah.
like, wow, what is that that figure has in its hand? That's
Yeah.
pretty neat. So,
And
Well-
all the video games and the movies and stuff are full of this stuff. Meaning our games can't be super boring and have nothing in them
it's
because
from my company.
then they will be as boring as my campaigns, which means that they will not be that shiny and glittery and kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, in my 5th edition games, Ghost of Saltmarsh, I started off really slow on the magic items because 5e basically tells you don't rely on building around magic items, right? Because you have the 3 attunement slots, which I actually like, and I think I would go back to 3rd edition and do some sort of attunement thing to slow down how many items PCs had. But now that they're at, say, 6th level, they do tiers, right? You know, in 5th edition, kind of for their design philosophy. Now they're starting to defeat the bad guys that have magic items, and they're starting to find a few things here and there. So it starts ramping up, and I'm sure by the time they're 12th level, I'll be sitting here pissing and moaning like, I can't believe I gave you, you know, a +3 weapon in 5th edition is a big deal. They don't even go above +3 in
Yeah, but
5th edition.
Yeah. That's the other thing. It's same thing in PF2. They're also toning down the numerical. There's less inflation, so to speak.
Yeah.
well, they inflate the game, not the magic.
But just to show you how bad 3rd edition was, this is my character's magic item log sheet from Living Greyhawk. She was
Oh, wow.
16th level. This is Brianna Windstrider, my crazy character. And you
God.
had to have a log sheet of all your magic items, your charges,
You
etc.,
complain that you
etc.
never earned any money or treasure.
Oh, well, that was in year 1 and 2. After that, they loosened up. But you can see I had to keep track of actual
Yeah.
wand charges
Meaning
here
yeah.
and
After
potions.
year 1 and 2,
Yeah. Meaning
everybody
you
had
stole
money, but there was no doors on any of the buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
meaning
that's
you
right.
stole everything. You
That's
looted the
insane.
whole
Yeah.
damn kingdom up there.
Right.
So
Just so that you all can throw up in your mouths. This is what a Living Greyhawk 16th level character would have.
yeah.
Dusty Rose Prism Ironstone, Pink and Green Sphere Ironstone, Hat of Disguise, Necklace of the Hunt, Amulet of Health +4, Gemstone of Light Fortification embedded in her chest, immune to critical hits, Cloak of Resistance, Vest of Resistance, Gloves of Dex, Belt of Giant Strength, Boots of Speed,
It sounds
Ring
like
of
a Monty.
Protection, Ring of Protection, Ring of Mind Shielding, and then she's got multiple magic weapons.
It sounds like
magic
a Monty Hall
armor.
game.
Yeah, well, Living Greyhawk you could buy. You got gold. And
Oh
you
my
would,
gosh.
You would buy things and upgrade, and everything had a value. So you had to keep track, just like you were an accountant. And you,
Right.
where did I get it? How much did I pay for it? Things of that nature.
It almost sounds like that was the first where the video game was out and it tried to upgrade. The word upgrade is a video game term, right? It's a World of Warcraft term. I got to upgrade my armor to tier whatever. It sounds
that's
similar.
true.
Well,
Yeah.
sure, fair.
Yeah.
3rd
Yeah.
edition allowed you to upgrade if you
Yeah.
had a +1 sword, which cost
Yeah.
$2,000 plus
I
the
think
masterwork.
part of that too is the fact that it was a living campaign more so than the fact that the influence from video games. They were trying to ensure that they were having people coming and sitting at
Hey,
the
John.
tables. And what's one of the best ways of doing that? Make sure that they could do things like
Kids.
this. Make sure that they have the magical items and stuff to keep them coming to the table. I think that's one of the reasons why
Oops, wrong button.
you have so much of that there.
But this is a 16th level character as well. And in
True.
3rd edition, with the slots, you were expected to have everything for every slot. And I also was a min-maxer. I mean, 3rd edition encouraged a lot of min-maxing.
No.
So, well, that's
Very much so.
I'd rather win fights than lose fights.
So
I like
D&D.
baking into magical items. Like I like doing scalable
thanks,
items.
man.
So
See,
like
Yeah, that grows with you.
it
Yeah.
grows with you. It's a +1 sword right now.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
4th level, and
Hey,
then
Amy.
as you go up in levels, the magic is unlocked from the sword, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
I also like having items that have a bonus and a hindrance baked into it.
Yeah.
Here's a ring, gives you +1 to dex, -1 to con.
I like that.
Is that something that works with your build or whatnot? I think I love having things like that, not having just giving you something completely, this is just strictly a bonus.
Yeah. But you can have items with purpose, and that's the way I design some of the intelligent weapons. Is that if you have an evil sword or the sword of hunger, you only get the plus if you do what the sword wants. Meaning, if you go out and chop off the first head in the day, it's a +1 weapon. You kill the second one, it's a +2 weapon, etc. And you kill good ones, then damn, you get some. Meaning, the sword has a purpose and a need for it, and it will drive you to do it by tempting you with its powers. It will withhold the powers unless you do its bidding, so to speak.
Like a soul drinker. It's like, you haven't fed me in 5 days.
Exactly. Yes.
I am not helping you at all right now.
Exactly. Meaning it will fumble for you, so it will get a better owner that will actually feed it, so to speak.
The sword telling you, go stick it in that driver over there.
Yeah,
Nobody's watching.
But it will do it so subtle that it will simply just withhold everything and stop being very whatever and something. And also that Holy Avenger will mean that the more you grow in power, the more we grow with you, and the more good deeds you do, the more the sword will trust you and open
you can
up
still do like even with like the Holy Avenger. So so it's intelligent and it has these powers, so forth and so on. And then like if the paladin use like, how come you're not out enforcing our God's will?
Yeah,
it's been 5 days.
Exactly.
I'm not designed to be sitting in a scabbard while
and
you're
if you
lollygagging, son.
Yeah, and you slay the evil dragon, then even the deity itself will become part of the weapon or more and more, so to speak, and infuse and he will talk to you through and inspire you and praise you for all the good deeds you're doing, blah blah blah, whatever.
Or get tired of you getting old and try to ditch you for a new owner.
Exactly.
It gets you killed. That's why you find these weapons
retired. Yeah,
you find these weapons in treasure hoards because the damn thing gets you killed.
Yeah, a good sword will probably tell you that I need to go to a younger whatever, and you need to retire and blah blah and stuff like that. So yeah, and the evil one would just stop functioning and cut your leg off so you can't or whatever. So yeah,
that's one of the things I love about intelligent weapons so much, and have them is so that they can talk trash to the players. Well, have their own personality, have them be like, what?
And mine would not talk much in that way directly, but they will only turn on their powers if you do their bidding, so to speak. And
brings to two good points, and one is that you can take the most mundane of items and then tweak it a little bit and make it even more flavorful. +1 weapons. So for example, Tom has his character, his Elven Cavalier in the group from Thursday night has Bane Foe, and it does cure light wounds once per day on it, right? Okay. Hey, that can be useful though, right? It's a minor thing, but it has the name of the weapon, +1 sword. Secondly, there can be items that do withhold powers, and I want to show this one I have up. It's called the Eye of the Sea King. This is from an Expeditions Retreat adventure. Walt's character Tyra, the Corsair, has this in one thing, and it has this ability to summon these things called water wights, from the sea to come up and fight. But once per week, the owner must also appease the Sea King. This involves slaying a creature in a body of water, tossing the body of a dead creature into an ocean, river, lake. So when they're in their ship, she can't use that special ability unless she actually kills something in a fight and then sends it overboard to appease the Sea King to get it.
That's why you just bring some prisoners with you.
Oh my gosh!
You keep them down in the hold.
Will
got to recharge batteries. Bring one up
for a good aligned character. That doesn't work.
You bring livestock.
No, you don't do. See,
livestock in.
No chickens. You're not killing chickens and throwing them overboard.
No.
Notice I had to use the no
chickens
just no
are for
one.
the dungeon.
Oh my gosh.
You don't use the chickens on the boat. Use them in the dungeon.
And
Well,
that
and more of the swords, on the other hand, can be cursed. Like in Living Greyhawk, we gave the NPC's Avenger a sword that Ayuz himself had crafted for her. And it was an item that could be found during a Living Greyhawk adventure, but it's called the Cursed Sword of Avenger. Of course, no one knew it was cursed. When you pick it up, it immediately does the whole "it's stuck to you, you can't get rid of it" thing. You must use it in a fight.
I love cursed.
But if you're an Ayuzian, it's a +2 sword. And if you're an Ayuzian Blackguard, essentially a paladin of Ayuz in 3rd edition, it becomes an unholy Avenger. So Ayuzians who see the sword, because of course it's this beautifully evil looking sword, right? It's got all the skulls motif all over it. They then are compelled to attack you to recover the sword to defend the honor of Ayuz. So PCs who saw this thing lying around in Zavindra's Manor and who were dumb enough to touch it, because why would you touch anything there? Then had to go through the rest of their days until they somehow got like a wish spell to remove it or whatever, having to use it in a fight and having every Ayuzian they ever ran into targeting them before every other thing that was hassling the Ayuzians. So I think you should have more fun with cursed weapons.
Yeah, but I tried also. Yeah, that's a lot of great points. And one of the things that I did was make the fact that you couldn't throw it away more subtle, way more subtle. Meaning you can throw it away, but what happens is that the weapon will put you on its death list. So it will tell the next owner, that guy abandoned me, go and kill it, and I will unlock more powers or whatever. So you will get the weapon will come down and haunt you, so to speak, and try to kill you. So more than throw it away and it comes back in your hand again. That's kind of, I wanted more in-game kind of version of it rather than just the mechanical version of it.
That'd be really good because you could sell it, it would leave, and then it would come back to you, and then you sell it in the next town.
Yeah, exactly. If the weapon hates you, it will come back and haunt you by persuading the owner, so to speak, the wielder to.
That was the plot of a Living Greyhawk core series of adventures, Tim, except it was a cursed piece of jewelry that was worth 20,000 gold pieces. And this merchant, his name is Brindagund, he keeps selling this thing, right? And then he leaves town, and a day or two later, this cursed piece of jewelry comes back to him, and he hightails it out of there, and he's got, 10,000 gold pieces in his pocket, because in 3.5 you sell for half. Well, it's gems. Maybe he got 20 grand. But eventually people wisened up and they hired a bunch of assassins and whatever to go kill him, get their money back, etc. So, that's existed in Living Greyhawk as well. But eventually someone's going to just murder you for doing that.
Oh yeah, you have to. Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with low level having a powerful item.
Well, it's also kind of I understand that completely, because we all have what's called the irritant NPC, which we should do an entire stream on that one day. Those characters you just love to stick it to people over and over again. And,
yeah, you're really good at that.
I know.
Yeah, but you need to. Antagonism is part of good role playing game. You need to entice the players to.
That's close to the topic next week too. It's very very close.
Yeah,
to
let the bad guys get away.
To the topic
it'll just
next
piss
week.
your players off when it starts happening. But by the time your bad guys are 7th level, the spellcaster should have Dimension Door and other things, and just be like, you know what? It's clear I'm losing this fight.
Well,
I'm getting out of here.
You can do like Eric Mona. You can slip away as a player character and do it so skillfully at the end that no one can do anything.
And I get it. I'm the one that gave him the potion of gaseous form.
That's hilarious.
That was so, and it was the last item or spell.
Yeah, he was gone. He cast every spell he had.
Yeah, and that one on the last.
He was sitting on that the entire.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
as soon as he saw that, he's like, sweet.
We're going to.
If it was someone else, I would say we just randomly left that item. But
what was that magic item?
It was the tongue. It was the tongue of Ruggiero Bloodmoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he got it.
It's an artifact.
But what's that tongue do?
I'm not telling you.
Artifact.
I thought we
don't know what it. Yeah, we don't know what it's.
Okay.
I am. This is an Easter egg. It's not a definite. I am trying to get Eric to play in the finale of the fundraiser.
Yeah.
Okay, and to play that character, but not necessarily on the good guy side.
Ooh.
Well, of course
That
not. He's
is-
already gone.
He's
chaotic
character.
neutral. He made off with this
Wow.
thing.
He might give it to the right people. He just,
Yes.
I wouldn't if I were that PC.
Holly,
That's
yes,
just too
John,
much
and
fun.
Holly, and all the other Dark Brotherhood members. Notice,
Yeah.
once again, see, people are going to accuse me of being skewed, but almost all the upper members of the Dark Brotherhood now are females. So, but remember in the old days, Tim, they weren't. So, right. Makaresh was not a female there too.
So,
yeah.
so who's this Ruggiero Blood Moon? Which you guys all act like, oh my god.
Okay,
The rest
so
of us are like, is this guy in canon? Is he in the Zavoda?
he's in my
index?
canon.
Is he in the Zavoda index?
It doesn't matter.
Well,
He's in
then
my
that's why we have
world.
no idea. Who
All right,
this
so
guy
here's a
is.
good thing. Gary is on, and Gary said that he didn't need to come on because there was four of us, so we were good. But Gary has put it out there that he's going to do a fandom for Mike and me to put a lot of our stuff in, so that why not have our resources in there? Thank you very much, Gary, for offering that. So the crown, you all heard the story. This is a magic item. This has kind of got a ring flavor to it. Let's tell this story real quick. So, low-level Iron Brigade, Bill's character Salen Shadow Moon, in the 90s, we're going back to the early to mid-90s, finds in a cave, in a cavern, sticking out of sand in water, this crown. Doesn't know anything about it. It's the crown of Ruggiero Blood Moon. 20-some years later, he dons this crown and tries taking the entire world over, right? We've all heard this story. That's the crown of Ruggiero. Ruggiero Blood Moon is this Sulwese ancient power who's in the Cairn Hills somewhere. He kind of was like Tulsa Doom, the power of persuasion. He could get people to just kill themselves. So this tongue is a gift of, was another item that has just been found. The crown has been, no one knows what happened to the crown after they defeated Salen and uneviled him. So there you go. So the tongue.
But this is a guy you created after watching Conan the Barbarian.
Yes, when I was a kid in the 80s, I said, this is a good idea. A Tulsa Doom-like person.
I think that's really
Greyhawk.
cool, but how many years ago was this guy, this badass, who defeated him originally? Those are all the questions that I would want to
Sulwese migration time.
So that's way back when.
Yeah. Because there's all these Sulwese wizards running around there that no one knows about. Vecna, I mean, how many times, you know what, Vecna, you all agree with me. Hopefully, they took a great story about Vecna and then just continued to build on it and build on it and build on it until it was so huge that you couldn't build on it anymore. Too much done with about Vecna? Yes, Will?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I would too.
They could
Jason
have
thrown it
made
with
somebody else who's also bad.
Exactly. There's a lot of baddies out there, so this is another one.
That's the thing. How many baddies do you need in a campaign, so to speak?
You need, but if you kill Vecna now, or you go after Vecna, then you've completely disemboweled Greyhawk. Or this is like killing guys, right?
Well, yeah, my
saying?
campaigns are down here though. My characters don't even know that Vecna exists.
Right, Rich?
Salt Marsh.
I agree, Rich. He just said, Rich launched out. Every story's better with more soul. I agree 100%. And that's what I did with Ruggiero Blood Moon. Exactly.
That's a good one.
So that's it. You gotta have your own story. You develop your own bad guys with your own really nasty magic items, and that have negative effects. So that's it. There's a little story there. So this tongue, it doesn't. I may not. It doesn't matter if I know what the powers. I'll give it. I'm whimsical, right? So we'll see what happens. If I can get Eric to play, you're going to find out some of the powers. But Eric, it's in what's his name, Venarium Vord's hands now. So.
Oh no, it's in his mouth. I guarantee you, Eric's going to tell you that he absolutely.
Hell yeah, it is.
He rested overnight.
Yes.
Until he got all of his spells back. Eric, if you're watching, I apologize, but I can predict this right now. You rested until you got all of your spells back because Jay, when you tell him, oh, you get 2 first levels, a second level, and a third level back for resting or whatever it is, he's going to be like, well, that's ridiculous. I rest until I get all my spells back. And then I cut out my tongue, put the thing in, and cast Repair Injury. And then boom. So that's my guess. I've got $5.
But he doesn't know what it does.
No, he doesn't.
Don't care.
Really matter.
Right.
Yeah, you got to have fun with it, and that's the thing. We're just going to run with it and have some fun with
You
it.
run out of options once you put it in.
You do. Well, that's just like
I'm not
doing.
sure he's
That's
gonna
just
If
like
you're a
use
using.
rationally thinking man, yes.
That's like
that is
using
a
the
valid
iron
point.
hand of
He's always
Vecna
gonna
or the teeth of Narvel Dow or whatever. You don't want to put that stuff in your body. You
Do you
just
think
don't want
that
to do
kind
it.
of character though is going to sit there and spend years studying this magic item with divination spells and going adventuring so that they can cast more and more powerful divination spells to get to legend and lore or whatever it is in AD&D, commune with spirits from other planes? No, Eric knows I get to play this. I played this character once. Maybe I'll play it a few more times. I'm sticking that tongue in this guy's mouth.
Yes.
What happened? That's exactly what
It's
I
funny.
think is going to
It's
happen.
great. So I have to do this, Tim. So another item I rarely give out are Rings of Regeneration. And he's laughing already. How is Fensick, your highest level mage? Well, yeah, a very high level mage that Anna played with during the first fundraiser. How does he have his Ring of Regeneration in his body so it can't get
He
stolen?
was always afraid because he's low constitution and dies frequently, and he had this ring of regeneration. He's always afraid somebody would pull it off of his hand. So he had the ring on, and basically cut up the skin around the ring and tore the flesh off so that the ring would shrink down on his tissues without the skin there, and then the skin grew over it.
It's disgusting.
I would give you some little tiny penalty for that, like -1 to hit with that hand, or
He's a magic user. He
something.
doesn't hit anything.
Yeah, I'd give you something, a chance to fumble when holding something in your left hand.
He is definitely not one of your superpower players. He's got like one high stat, and one of them is like comeliness.
Yeah, and what's his con? Like 6 or something?
Below everything,
Yeah.
single digits on some of them, and he's just extremely intelligent.
Look, Scottish Jeff just said he did the exact same thing. There you go. So you had someone else do that, and they, I just had to bring it up. It was a Timism from the early days.
Pull the skin back,
Flesh.
and then let the skin go over it.
What
It'll
time?
heal up.
Okay. All right. So let's round table and let's hit some items, some cool magical or non-magical treasure items everyone loves. So Will, what bring up some stuff that you'd like, specific or general, whatever you want.
Like hats and disguises.
Yes.
I got to say, I do like hats.
That's an awesome item.
Because it leads to more role playing.
That is
It's not like one of these things like, you use it, boom, or like you're in combat and it's like, I'm going to using a hatted disguise is there's something else that's going to be happening here. Unless you're just sitting in front of a mirror, So.
Yeah, just think about it. The hatted disguise makes it into fiction. In Mission Impossible, it is a magic item, essentially, that Tom Cruise continually uses to look like other people. And
Tom Cruise plays D&D, I'm sure.
Well, you know what I mean, though. That thing has influenced
D&D.
culture
Yeah.
to the point where it shows up in various iterations. And if a hat of disguise existed on our planet, it would cause havoc.
Oh, yeah.
Why is
Someone
that?
could walk into the White House,
That's
et cetera, et
hoping.
cetera.
How
It
does
won't change
disguise?
your fingerprints. So
Page 100, Takina.
Yeah. It's
So-
true. I don't know if you get fingerprints.
That's why it's more
when you
effective in
go-
a fantasy world.
Right.
It is a
There's
cool
I think
item.
countermeasures in the fantasy world that you will have
Yeah.
a high level wizard
That's a good
sitting
point.
outside the
Gargoyles that can see
yeah.
magic.
That's
Yeah,
why
that's
the
exactly.
wizard
things
is
like that.
very important to kind of get stuff like that weeded out before the king sees it. So
the ultimate is a hat of disguise coupled with an amulet to prove versus detection location.
mhm.
Yeah, Ring of Mind Shielding in 3rd
Yeah.
edition.
So they'll never detect it.
Well, okay. Well, who's next on an item? You got anyone else have an item they like or dislike? Or I got a couple, but I want to hear some from you. All right, I'll bring one up.
okay, I was
Here's one. This is in the Adventure from Underworld Publishing that's on my wall of fame. It's a third-party company, and it's called a caduceus snake. All right, this is actually like a living snake that is there. So I just use that symbol for it. The symbol for the doctor, and it's inside. Your pocket, and it's kind of if you need you press it and you get it to bite you, and it actually heals you. And the first time it does it, it heals a cure critical, I think, and then the second time it does a cure serious, and the third time it does a cure light, and then its poison and positive effects do not work for a certain amount of time after the third one. So it's a pretty neat item that this company came up with, that an actual creature would assist your character with that, and Walt's character Vosh has that item, so I gave that out in the campaign. It's neat. Someone else?
I have some. I love the stuff that you use in order to like magic stuff, like tuning forks in order to teleport somewhere, and also
Plane
you have
shift.
Exactly, and stuff like that adds to like if you want to summon a demon, there's special powder and ink and stuff you can use to paint the circles and pentagrams and stuff on the on the floor, and maybe even special tiles and that you can put on the walls to seal the chambers and stuff like that has purpose beyond the everyday adventuring stuff, that things that should be there, like special throne rooms for kings that have built-in magic capabilities, and also some things like that, and magic mortar you can kind of form in order to build the castle walls more impenetrable, and various things that definitely should be there. Otherwise there will be no castle. Someone would just level them very quickly and use a stone to mud, and the whole thing will go away instantly and stuff. So you can have but especially those kind of little practical things that in order to cast a spell to teleport somewhere or get to another plane, you need to have a tuning fork that is tuned to go to that specific place. Otherwise you just end up randomly. So even a teleport spell might not work that right away. It's not. So in order to get somewhere, you have to research it and you have to tune it in, know where it is and so on. And you can make that fork or little thing or bell or whatever it is. And that way you can make the spell work properly and stuff. And that thing could be magic in itself. And to get these things to very special places might be like getting the crown jewels from somewhere. Only the court wizards and the high and mighty, summoners and others, they have these kind of things. Conjurers and stuff, they magic users spend years in order to get a tuning fork so they can get to sigil to that special place every time without error and stuff. So yeah.
Cool one.
For me, I've got a 5e item that they found in Ghosts of Saltmarsh. I forget if it's in Xanathar's or the DMG, where they say, hey, every once in a while a magic item should have some weird little quirks. But early on in the campaign, they found a Trident of Fish command. And, in 5e, this does the normal. It casts Dominate Beast on aquatic creatures. It's actually really overpowered for Ghosts of Saltmarsh low-level characters because, hey, look, there's a shark. Bong, the shark is coming with us if it fails its saving throw. And monsters in 5e have terrible saves, but that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, when I decided it had some weird special stuff, I was like, well, who creates a Trident of Fish command? Well, probably things that live underwater.
Yeah,
right?
Tritons.
Right, that have access to magic and whatnot. So I decided, or I rolled up that it can also shed light, because if you're underwater and you're way down deep, it's very, very dark. And I don't care if you have dark vision, you might need to see something with light down there. But the other thing it does is when you're fighting aquatic creatures, it gives you a +2 bonus to your initiative. And in 5e, not a lot of things bump up your initiative.
Okay. See, well, you took an item that was in the game and you enhanced it and changed it and tweaked it for your. That's a great thing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, gave it a little backstory.
Awesome, and very cool. Tim, you got to have one or two here.
I made up a lot of custom ones for the barbarian adventure I ran.
Okay, give us one.
I made a couple of javelins that were incorporated dragon bones in their construction, and so they had. I think Will's character had a couple of these.
Yes, I did.
Black javelins.
Dude.
He
didn't use them. He's still holding on to those.
You have a couple. You did throw.
That's awesome. You get to use them in the future.
The black dragon, it has a 30, 60, 90 range. You have to throw, you have to hit, but it releases a 5-foot radius cloud of acid, so it does that 4 to 8 extra acid damage. Sort of like, javelins lightning, but not lightning. You actually have to throw them, and it has effects similar to the breath weapons of the dragon.
Well, so you can have different colors. That's a great idea.
Right. So there's a crystal
Great
dragon
idea.
one that he has, so it releases a brilliant burst of light. So
Great idea.
Saving that for my performance when I get on stage.
Very cool. So, you got another one?
no, I have a ton of them. But how much? Yeah, but, you know,
I like-
I made purified war paint so that you could don it and it just gives a bonus to your armor class for a temporary period of time.
That's funny, Longitale. So that's a good one too. So my players found a mushroom in the toilet that purified the air. We have. It's called a magical deodorizer. I believe it's in Tome of Magic. I believe it actually exists in 1E, 2E there, Rich, where it negates. And there's also the spell Zone of Sweet Air, which negates stinking clouds and all that other stuff. Yes. Yeah, that's a good one too. Absolutely. Deep Minds as well. Yeah. Do a lot of good spells like that, because I love throwing stinking clouds against the party, because that really stops them cold.
Yeah. But you have one magic item that can cause a lot of problems is the flying carpet or that type. But they can just go across
anything.
the set.
The broom of flying.
Broom,
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
that allows flying at low
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah.
And that's
I
something
tried.
that
Oh
some
my
issues
God.
like PF1 or with
That's why I don't give them out.
was it 50? You have to wait like 6th level before you can any way whatsoever you can learn fly or something. There's some So there's
Levitate
some,
too, for that matter.
yeah.
To a
Yeah, so
lesser
there's some
extent.
I mean,
items like that.
right? Levitate, okay. It's you're
Levitate's a
up and
lot
down
different than
mostly.
flying.
Yeah,
It
but the
is.
flying
It is.
around, it's
Feather
But you
Yeah.
have to
low
be
levels.
careful with if a party member has levitate, and you have to be conscious of that if you're designing dungeons.
Right.
It's like, then how are they going to get here? And it's like, okay, we'll have this,
So
climbing this, or
Right.
and then the enemies will be at the top,
Yep.
blah blah blah. And,
All you have to do is give one of the enemies that feather token, where they can go ahead and
Qual's
hit a
feather
gust of
token.
wind. So as they levitate, you just blast
Yep.
them into the.
But
Yes,
how
that
many
would be
enemies
it.
are going to have that?
Well, you add them on the
You
fly.
add it up.
Oh, I had nothing on. That's cheating. No,
Oh,
that's cheating.
So
Cheat to win.
As
That's
a
what I
DM.
always say.
I was
I would
watching.
get so mad at you if I found out my DM was doing that.
I was watching Sly for Lars this morning, and he was teaching people how to do that as a DM and cheat, and that stuff on the fly. It was really funny.
Like
So,
the only time I'll do
yeah.
this, it's a high level bad guy who has access to divination spells, is super intelligent, and should basically have already studied. Hey, these guys are coming to kill me. I'm going to study their tactics and things like that. Oh, I know they like to
I'm back in a
levitate.
second.
I'm going
Yeah,
to
no
prepare
problem.
for that.
yeah, but I mean, whenever you fly, the same thing. Like if in the real world, if you're flying around, everybody who can see you tries to shoot you.
No, all right. So here's what happened in my Ghost Assault March.
So
They're friggin' 6th level, and they're tracking Lord Omni, who is attacking them invisibly from rooftops, right? So he attacks them, he gets away. They decide, well, how can we track this guy? The druid polymorphs into a dog. Dogs have ridiculously good senses of smell, better than the 5e game mechanics can account
you
for.
mean
But
he shape changes into it.
wild shape druid. That's the
Okay,
terminology in
but
5th edition.
Polymorph is not give you every ability.
It's 5th edition, Tim.
It
She
basically-
becomes a
Don't
dog.
even argue with this.
He actually changes into the animal.
Changes into the animal.
Don't even.
Yeah.
Same thing for 3rd edition. So now all of a sudden the dog can track Lord Omni by his smell. Because I actually have a friend who did a PhD on military working dogs, and military working dogs can smell something like up to 300 feet away and follow tracks for days. Just like the police working dogs that go and look for missing
there's
people.
Tracking and scouting dogs. Scouting dogs sniff the air. And tracking
Let's
dogs
not
sniff
get
the
into
ground.
real world
Right.
semantics.
So you're being
either
overly
for both of
semantic
us.
because we know a dog could do this. You put a dog on a roof track, it could track a smelly dwarf. So the halfling bard has a wand or has a broom of flying. And so she just holds the dog while they went from rooftop to rooftop, tracking Lord Omni, who had invisibly ran from rooftop to rooftop with his demon buddies or whatever. And that's how they were trying to track him through the city of Seaton. Sure, people are looking up going like, why the hell is there a halfling with a dog on a broom of flying? But the halfling's not attacking the populace.
That's great.
Doesn't look like a DM. Well, me as the DM though, I'm like, holy crap, how is Lord Omni going to get away? So yeah,
Down the
flying
sewers.
can break the game.
down
Let
the
alone-
sewers and underwater.
Yeah. There's a simple way Lord Omni
Just
gets
like you
away.
really avoid dogs. you
Simple.
go
There's a
through the water.
simple way that they fly away and out of sight of the rest of the group, and then it comes around a corner, pop.
Well, that was going to happen. Yes, there was
Dead.
going to be that.
He was just waiting.
A
Yeah.
smart ambusher is always going to have an ambush set up that he moves through, and the ambush gets anybody tracking him and following him.
So
Or he does a hook back on himself, and he goes and they track him all the way back to their tavern room, and he's ransacked it all.
Right. Well, he learned after that, right? He loaded up on black pepper or whatever and threw it down on the rooftop the next time.
let's discuss a question from Coma in the audience, and I want Tim to handle this one because there's a story behind it. Can magic items lose their ability or power? Go for it, Tim.
Yes, they can.
Give us an example of how.
Well, you could have a very, very high level, high powered evil person send them a package
And then there's a nice little
with
bow.
a gift on it. It looks like a gift on it with a bow on it.
Yes, and
And
then
when they open the bow, it goes poof, and confetti comes flying out, and a Morden Kingdom's disjunction goes off.
which is the 9th level spell.
That's how I did it.
Yeah, a 9th level spell, Mordenkainen's Disjunction. If it's a dispel magic, which permanently dispels anything it dispels is permanent and removes their magic abilities. There you go.
Rust monsters.
Rust monsters are another great way.
Nice one, Will.
Nice, another great
Yep.
way. Disenchanters monster. That's another
Or
monster.
theft.
Yeah, theft is another way. Yes,
The
Dervillia
Devourer, I think.
got.
Theft is great.
Yeah, Dervillia lost something from theft in Tim's world. My character, my cavalier. Yep.
Also, I don't see most magic items. I see them as not more kind of they can take more damage and beatings than regular items. Maybe a little bit more, but not much. Meaning they can be damaged by someone attacking you, or if you burn to a crisp, then your magic items might be too. So I don't like these rules where magic items just magically are untouched by any of the other stuff that will kill you or
Plus
or
one chainmail rust.
yeah, exactly. They can rust too, not as easily, but maybe not rust, but they can certainly be chopped to pieces and various other things. Meaning, if you chop to pieces in it, then that means that probably the chainmail was chopped to pieces too.
What edition was it where the magical armor resized?
That's anything
Third.
armor. Well, first
it
edition had
third?
anything armor too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's baked into third, but
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
my
I
home
think so.
games, I don't do any resizing.
I've never done that.
stuff.
I will
It
say
sucks
that
for halflings and knows, but you know what?
That's
You shouldn't
you're
be
halfling,
fighters. You're a halfling. You shouldn't be a frontline fighter.
right?
You have a
Also,
strength of 6.
in first and second edition, if you're wearing full plate or field plate that's magic, it doesn't change racial sizes, but it fits to you. Because those
Yeah.
are custom items.
Yeah.
Those are custom. They have to be perfectly fitted or they don't work. So
Yeah.
if you're human and you put on your +1 field plate, it will size to you properly, but it
As
doesn't
long as-
change
it
to
will-
a hobbit's armor.
Yeah, it will
Right.
fit everyone who's medium sized, for instance,
Right.
or
Right.
small or something.
Well, and
yeah.
third edition had a specific ability for sizing as well, I think.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah.
if you kill a giant, you should not be able to wear the giant's magic
Exactly.
armor.
That yeah. That
No.
does
Or a
make sense.
pixie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree 100%.
I would allow you to take said armor to like a high level wizard
Oh
and,
yes.
and have them
turn
like
it into
Or an
turn
three
it into
armors.
material for you that
Or
then
three
would
armors,
be
yeah.
taken to a blacksmith, which
yeah.
will reforge it up for you. Something
Yeah.
It also depends on the foulness of my time as a DM. Like if there's a half elven armor sized, and am I going to allow an elf to wear it, right? Or am I going to allow a human to wear it? Well, catch me
For
on a
me,
good
I
day.
would simply say it's medium sized creatures,
Yeah.
period. And
Catch me on a
a
good
little
day.
bit of fitting and changing and stuff, and let an armor work on it for a week, and they could probably tweak it or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Not too
Yeah,
much
if
fuss.
it's small was with small, medium with medium. so
Yeah,
forth.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Unless it was like a centaur. It's got 4
Oh yeah,
legs.
yeah, but they are large. Yeah, exactly. An armor made for an ogre and a centaur, even if they might be large, both of them would not work.
Yeah,
So,
enlarge.
yeah.
My morph
Yeah.
isn't permanent, so if you enlarge something and someone dispel magics on it, I mean, will you have that on? You know, so
then it will revert.
large-
Yeah, that's the other thing. Meaning, magic items and stuff. They if you polymorph into something or wild shape or whatever, then it tweaks into something else. So yeah.
I don't mind
It
boots and
disappears.
bracers and stuff like that because it gets too tedious but it's the main armor that I do for sizing. I don't want to go, oh, these boots are Elvenkind, the halfling can't wear them.
No, you have to be, you can't
Or-
go into D&D physics too
Yeah.
much, so to speak.
You need to have enough. In my version, you would need to have enough small sized bad guys like goblins
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
or evil halflings or whatever who have these items that your halfling PCs can acquire, and you then design your adventures without knowing the adventuring party. Like, oh hey, I've got a gnome. The gnome needs an X, Y, or Z. I'm gonna throw in like a little chump, small guy just doing the chant spell, but he's gonna have this boots or whatever that I want this PC to gain access to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an answer for that, but in my mind, sure, you can make a magic item resize, but the wizard should do that when creating the item, like magic rings. Of
Rings
course,
resize.
magic ring
And
resize.
now that would come to another interesting question: are wizards cranking out all these armors and swords and stuff? I know exactly. I don't see it that way.
But they can enchant them. I mean, I guess that's.
No, I don't think that making a magic sword and a magic armor involves a wizard at all, really, unless they need to have some sort of specific magic spell done to it. That's something. But
for a special ability.
Exactly, but if it's just a +3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, then it's just that meaning a +5 armor. You need the best armor smith or armor in the world to make it, so to speak. Only
But is it magical?
Yes, I would say it might be magical, but that's more the ritual magic they put into it, making it. But I don't see that you necessarily need to be a wizard in order to do it. But on the other hand, that armor is probably so good at casting rituals that he knows a thing or two about magic too, so to speak, but not will be a wizard class.
I just don't see a blacksmith or armor knowing shit about magic. Pardon my language.
No, not the regular one, but the those 3 in the world who can make a +5 weapon.
Oh, like
armor. Yes,
Theros. What was the guy in Dragonlance who makes the dragon lances?
Theros Ironfield.
Right, you give him a magic arm and a
in
magic hammer, I think it was as well, and he could suddenly create dragon lances. Okay.
Yeah, I would say in Celine that might be one person who can one armor smith who can make the elephant chain that is fantastic, and I don't think he or she necessarily needs to be a wizard to do that. And the same thing with in Iron Gate, that might be a dwarven weaponsmith who can make the most awesome dwarven magical weapon, so to speak. And he's not a wizard, but he's probably just so damn good at doing what he's doing.
I had to think about that a lot when I was thinking about magic items for the barbarians.
Yeah.
It would be kind of apropos with the cultures and all that. And it would be a heirloom weapon that has been prayed over and blessed and chanted over, and special salves are being created by the shaman. And so it's something that has been imbued with the effort and kind of energy and essence of the family and culture as it's been passed along till it has become something more than just an item and more than just some guy, plugging it in and charging it up and it's ready to go. And so
that's a great idea, because you might not be able to manufacture +5 weapons. They need to be earned and honed and grown in eons of use, so to speak. The +5 Holy Avenger must have it become +5
quenched in the blood of a
demon.
Well,
Yes, exactly. He must have killed 5 demons in battle before it gets.
You just need a humble ant. So
Yeah.
that's what you need.
Yeah.
The Rattlebones Club is one that's extra special against humanoids because they've been fighting and warring against them for so long that
specific.
There's many interesting tweaks you can make to it. Yeah.
So
all right. So then you have Bruiner, someone in the chat, Naga, not gonna work here anymore. Said that was the movie
Nagoya
reference.
Joe. Yeah. He's
talk about in the books, right? Bruiner Battlehammer makes Wolfgar's magic flying hammer of giant killing, returning, whatever. And Bruiner's not a wizard, not a cleric, never had any spell casting ability. I think there was a scroll involved. And 3rd edition codified this later or third-party Pathfinder codified this later by allowing non-spellcasters to create magic items. I actually had some NPCs like that in one of my published mods. So I mean, okay, Jay, I guess I kind of get your point that you don't have to have wizards and clerics to create these things.
I think dwarves should be able to have.
Well, here's the joke is out there. Anyone in Forgotten Realms can do anything they want to. So
Yeah,
and no one died. And once again, I'm sorry.
that's a fair point.
No
Jay.
one
That's
ever
in
dies
72.
permanently in an R.A. Salvatore novel. Okay,
I
Oh,
quit
okay.
reading them a long
Never.
time ago.
It-
You know,
Ar-
now you've said this. I think it's kind of cool. Maybe you have someone who's found the ritual that under the light of the blood moon, if you are in the ancient Horn Society, keep or whatever, you can create this cursed weapon and things of that nature.
yeah,
I think it's basically, if it ties in story wise, is basically what it is, as opposed to just, oh, he opened
Exactly,
up this
JB.
chest and oh, he got this one thing and there it is.
Yeah.
Make it worth its while. I
think that's a great point. It needs to function in your game and in your setting and the way you play it.
So
Yep.
and to be memorable. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
Rattlebones' rite of passage involved finding this large bones and fending off 5 large wolves and scaring them away. And so it became part of his whole story and his rite of manhood. So when he was a boy, he became, he was accepted and given his warrior name. And then this is a weapon he's been carrying for years and years, doing all his feats. And, it's getting blessed by the shamans. It's getting special, not essential oils, but it's, ceremonial things done with it. He's offering sacrifices. He's doing all sorts of things. So now it's becoming imbued with more than just being a piece of bone that he's hitting stuff with.
yes, and that's way cooler.
It's way cooler.
Yeah, okay, I may be coming around a little bit on
Yeah.
this one.
And it is,
it's okay.
it could seem like it's a little bit too much, but it is really powerful. But I like it anyway. I don't give a crap.
That's right.
Wow.
Well, what? See, Rattlebones is what, 7th?
No, you're 5th level.
5th level. Okay. Well,
Fifth
still
level
5th.
barbarian.
Fifth is- yeah, exactly.
Barbarian.
So I'm like a 10th level other characters.
Yeah.
So
So Nagoya, the answer to that question is no, but they, I think we talked about this before you were on. Like if they're getting a certain plus, and in old school, it's got to be Meteorite Steel for 3, Mithril 4, Adamantite 5. But I rarely give out anything above 3 anymore. And then Canadian asked this question: is Excalibur considered a cursed sword? Very possibly.
why would it be considered cursed?
No.
Bad,
Because King Arthur
was it
died.
Yeah.
I don't
He didn't die.
understand.
He got sent to Avalon. He never dies. He gets
Yeah.
sent
That
to
depends
Avalon
what
to get
version you're
healed.
reading, Jay.
What's that?
When you get interned, that generally means you're dead. Just because you come back from the dead
Oh,
doesn't mean you weren't dead.
Okay.
I mean,
That-
one is called Lamort Darkness, so
I guess so. I guess I've been watching too many bad Clive Owen movies.
You got that
Boy, that's
right.
an old movie. at this point.
Finally, something
There's
on this
a-
island worth killing.
What
That
was
was the
that show
Saxon guy.
Netflix has cursed or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I heard
that
about
series.
that.
Yeah.
I thought they
fun.
just came and they took him away to Avalon to heal him.
Yeah, I liked it because it was so different. They did everything backwards and
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
normal thing. The paladins, were
Exactly.
the evil ones, and so on and so forth. I thought that
It
was
has
an
Fae running
interesting-
around
Exactly.
England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting because they scrapped the norms and went wild with ideas and stuff. And I kind of
Arthurian
like that.
romance has been around forever, and like the Lamort Arthur is much later. Than,
All right, so
Oh, yeah.
if you want a book with good magic items and cool Arthur stuff in it that you can incorporate into Greyhawk, are you ready? But Relics and Rituals Excalibur. It's hard to get a hold
wow.
of.
Yep.
It's 3rd edition, so Casey, you'll like that. Okay.
Yeah, they wrote a whole book for
Oh
Excalibur.
yeah. So you have your two.
It's a
it's
crazy stat block.
Well, I'm just because we're talking about.
I gotta say, I know we're D&Ding it up here, but if you're gonna play King Arthur, go play Pendragon. Okay, don't be messing around with no D&D. Go
Well,
play Pendragon.
There are
Okay,
great.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, I agree 100%. But like, there's like the Axe of the Green Knights in here. There's some cool items in here.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is, and I don't,
That's a really cool and like bad guy NPC, the Green Knight.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
really good one.
yeah. Considering Sean Connery played the Green Knight in what
Yeah,
movie?
right?
Aren't
movie?
the knight and the King Arthur and all that? Aren't they in deities and demigods?
Yes,
They
they
were
are.
headed out.
The original one.
The original
Right.
Disney.
We actually played a campaign back in the day where we were, because they have Knights of Renown and Knights of something else, which are basically like the regular knights, and we used those stat blocks for the characters. Instead, we didn't pick one of like Gawain or any of that different stuff. We picked those guys and then played just like lesser Knights of the Round Table.
The red
So.
shirt knights.
Exactly.
See, if you're correct, Sword of the Valiant. That was it. Sword of the Valiant was.
Sword of the Valiant. Yep.
Sean Connery was the Green Knight in that. Gawain and the Green Knight. Ah, wow. I know we ran over time a little bit here, which is cool, but we're having fun.
Yeah.
I got a lot of goofy magic items up. That one right there is Nita's magic wig, and that actually is it's a wig that Tim's dad, Half-Orc, has it and wears it around in Hardby. He looks ridiculous, but it allows him to blur himself once per day. The illusion spell blur, so he wears it. So it's kind of a fun.
You know what would be okay? This is for
awesome.
everybody watching. Here's a good magic item. You get a wig that when you put it on, it turns it into like Medusa from Marvel Comics and allows you to have multiple attacks.
Oh, the crazy hair stuff.
Yeah, it turns you like something like that. There you go. That's for free. There you
Yeah,
go.
but
Alright,
that's
awesome.
an interesting question.
That's a good one.
Yeah, how much ridiculousness can a character or a player put up with in order to get that mechanical effect from it, so to speak? That's, yeah.
That was look at that. Hey, John, if you're still driving and you're putting in the drawing here, please be careful, John. We all don't want anything to happen to you. So
We're driving and twitching.
It's so awesome though. Oh man.
One of the magic items I made was the Axe of Grudges, which I
remember that.
A grudge rune from Warhammer actually, but it has a rune on it that when you enter battle, you pick somebody that you have the grudge against, and during that whole battle, anytime you miss them, you get to re-roll that miss once.
I think they turned that into a feat somewhere. There's a 5e. I don't think it's official. I think it's an unearthed. That's something about dwarven grudge. Something. That sounds really.
Oh, cool, man. Oh, that's right.
They give you advantage.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Attack
there's a lot of
someone.
like paladin abilities.
Hey,
You
just
pick
as long
your
as you're
enemy
safe,
and
dude.
you get a lot of plus and bonuses
yeah,
or whatever
during that battle,
versus
and
that
then-
specific enemy.
So like
I forget there's semi-autonomous cars now. Man, the world has come forward.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so there are a couple other things I didn't mention. There are some bizarre adventures in Dragon magazines in the old days that had items that weren't magical that people wanted to have, and the number one I can remember is the twofold talisman. If you ever were happy enough or wonderful enough to run those two adventures, the bugbears all had leather jackets, and on the back of the leather jacket it said, "Mess with the best, die like the rest." And everyone wanted to have one of those leather jackets. All right, it wasn't a magic item, but everyone said, "That's so cool, I want that."
Jay, is that the one they had Dr. Denton's?
Yeah, there was
His
Dr.
pajamas
Denton's
and footy too, right?
footy pajamas in
Yeah.
there.
Hell yeah.
I got that too.
And there is this item in here that you've been scrolling through the whole night. The Squeeze Me Teddy is in the twofold talisman, and when you squeeze it, it says like "mommy" or something like that. Now Alan has his characters. Half-Orc has this, and he had a problem with another player who doesn't play anymore. His character, when he'd go down to the negatives, he would just squeeze it over him, "mommy, mommy, mommy." Let him go down to -9, heal him up to like -1 again, and keep on doing it over and over again to just annoy this character. So that's the kind of stuff I had to deal with in the early days
That
of
was not me.
when we were all adolescents.
I know you know of this adventure, Jake, because you've run it before. The Sword of Truth out of Dragon.
Sword of Justice.
Sword of Justice.
That's a basic
that?
D&D adventure, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Wall of Fame adventure for us too. Yeah.
What's up with that sword? Is that a?
Well, it's got if
I got the dragon. I've just never. I still have.
Well, the elf. I don't want to give it away, but the elf I think gets framed And the elf who has the sword of justice, you have to like help him prove his innocence, if I recall.
But is
correct,
the
Tim?
sword just like sword of justice in name?
It's got some ability. Well, it's a good adventure. It is. I just don't 100% remember what the abilities do, but it's a good basic D&D adventure you can convert real easily.
Yeah, it's in my queue.
Yeah, definitely.
My stack.
Yeah.
Jay, it's only been around. You've had it for 30 years. You don't remember?
I don't.
You read it 30 years ago?
Dude, I have. I mean,
if you remembered that, he'd lose 2 NPCs' names.
Yeah.
then you go ramble up.
I got my magic 8-ball up now too, which is another item. So everyone has a magic 8-ball at home, or had one in the 70s. Turn it into a magic item like I did, and that's usually that. Bill's character, the same one who has the Crown of Regeneration Blood Moon, has the magic 8-ball. Every time you use it, there's a 2% chance it'll teleport away to seek someone else's fate. And all it does is give plus or minuses on your save. It's random.
That's cool, though.
You got to ask it a dumb question, and the question has nothing to do, and you shake it up, and then you roll an 8-sided die, and there you go. That's your whatever happens on the 8-sided die is the effect you get all day. He has to use it, by the way, every time he adventures.
I think we did a couple snow globes in Living Greyhawk.
There, so
for
that's
some reason,
going.
Britt got on a kick that after major events, like vendors would come along and sell souvenirs, of the major battle that your PC has survived or whatever. And so we started having snow globes where instead of snow or whatever, it would be little floating dead orcs when you shook it up. Or that's what the Yo-Rays vendors were doing, was the dead orcs, because in canon, obviously, the orcs messed up Kinnamite during the Greyhawk Wars.
The T-shirts, I fought so-and-so, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Yeah, all I got was this lousy +1 sword. But a magic item I created for one of my Living Greyhawk conversions to Pathfinder, so I actually sell this adventure.
Get stuck, that's right, sure.
Okay. Is called the Shovel of the Final Rest. And it's a magic shovel. So how many magic shovels have you seen in the game?
I don't think any.
No, so what it does is it acts like a staff in 3rd edition Pathfinder terms. And it can cast Sanctify Corpse, Gentle Repose, and Speak with Dead. And it is considered holy by the clerics of Ouijas and other,
I like it.
Death cult religion-y types.
My
And
night merchants would use that. That's perfect for those guys.
The Gravedigger and a Balmer's Guild in Greyhawk.
In 3rd edition, it has a price of 12,861 gold pieces. It requires the craft staff feat.
12,861. How did he come up with that?
And basically, it's a masterwork shovel, darkwood shaft, sharp steel blade. Etched into the shaft in a spiral pattern is a copper filigree, which reads in Draconic. And I created this. So if it's lame, it's lame. Magic
it's not. It's good.
Is my blade. There is but one fate. From the elders long gone, we will still learn. I laid them to rest as I will you. So you have a shovel saying like, hey, we can like dig up the dead and talk to them, but eventually it's going to be your turn to get buried. So I just thought that was probably the coolest magic item I've created.
That's not for whom the shovel digs. It digs for thee.
There you go.
Now, I like that, but can I ask a really dumb question? 12,861 gold, not 12,860.
Yep. 3rd edition Pathfinder.
Oh my God,
very specific
man.
math for magic items. Here, I'll if I can, I'll paste that.
And you will find the person who wouldn't sell it for 1 gold piece less.
There you go.
you can pull up everything.
That's based on the
people that are watching.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
think that pasted very well. I'll try it from the.
Tim.
It doesn't work on the magic cast register. You have to add
Yeah,
one
exactly.
more gold piece. Yeah.
I need a price check.
Yeah.
Question for you from the audience, okay? And Val Moku brings up, and we're talking, I don't want to go too into depth into going forward and backward in time, but had a character get sent forward to modern times. The only thing he demanded to come back with was a pair of Ray-Bans a la the Blues Brothers. What was the name of the ranger who had the wand of missile fire, which was the machine gun and the
Board Flack.
Board Flack, that was it.
In the Foster Grant.
In the Foster Grants, yeah. And that was in Phineas Fingers. Yeah. Board Flack, that was it. What a great comic that was. If you don't have a Phineas Treasury, that's one to get to try and find.
Did Treasury actually collect all of them? I don't think it did it?
Phineas Treasury, it collected all the ones out of Dragon. It's just the only one they had the rights
and
to.
I think it actually had one too where he actually got indentured to Orcus.
Yeah.
which I don't remember seeing in the Dragon magazine.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I kind of like having anachronisms in the game here and there. And one that Anna and I go back and forth on is very rarely. The one group has a cannon. If you haven't used it yet, they don't know how to use it, and they have it on their ship. And if they ever find out, they're in big trouble because it's the ship they sank, because it's got its name inscribed into it. But right? Anna's not about gunpowder at all, or smoke powder that it's called in the game. So, yeah. Love the Enslaved by Orcus thread, a favorite.
Yeah,
So.
I think it was.
The shovel's awesome, John. I agree. It's a great item.
Like it.
Yep. Shovel of the Final Rest. 4 charges remaining. All right, so we're running almost to 10 here. Why don't we do it in closing on this topic? Just what you want to discuss about it. Anna, why don't you start off on the topic, and then we'll do shout-outs afterwards.
Well, first I would say that this was an awesome discussion in that way, and fun. Also that you have magic items is something that should. It's kind of one of the things you can spice the game with the way you want it to suit your play style, so to speak. I think it's one of these variables that you can really play with and toy and tweak with without breaking the basic game, so to speak. It's something that you can either have as a major part of your game, or you can just be a little spice that you spike up the occasional thing, or you might simply ban it altogether, but then you kind of enter a different territory somewhat. But I think it's one of these kind of variables that it's up to the game style you want to have it in your campaign. That way it's a great way to gauge the temperature, and you can quickly change the whole game by introducing it for good and bad. There's few things that can upset and derail a campaign quicker than a badly introduced magic item that overpower things. So I think it's one of these things that you should think carefully about, but it's also something you should, both for good and bad, both for not introducing things that might upset it, so that the magic item should both be fun and should suit the way you want to run your campaign. I think those are the two main criteria, so to speak. If you run the story-heavy game, it should be something that can't ruin the story by going through walls or flying there or whatever it is. So, yeah.
Thank you, Anna. Casey, thanks for coming on and sharing tonight, man. You had some.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I was happy to be here. The one last magic item I would say I really enjoyed helping to create was called 9 Lives Stealer Bob.
Bob?
9 Lives Stealer Bob.
His name was Bob. That's awesome.
Yeah, he had an ego of 43 in third
edition. Oh my God.
Terms. Yeah, he was never unleashed on the Living Greyhawk players, but we always kept him in our back pocket. Like, if the players acted up, we were going to drop him into the middle of something and he would just wreck their world. But all we did instead was create Death's Kiss, which is this adamantine 9 Lives Stealer with a chaotic evil alignment, and its ego score is only 29.
Oh, well, that's more manageable.
Yeah, so we were a little mean with that one, but it was the last magic item ever put on a Living Greyhawk Bandit Kingdoms adventure record. So, even if a character got it, it cost price to be crafted was 258,000 gold pieces. So it was basically made by IUs.
You should have put a 1 on the end of that, Casey, when you said it.
Well, it was 258,657.
There you go. That's better.
I mean, third edition had very specific math.
I'm so glad I missed third edition. I'm sorry. I'm glad I pilfered
plenty of it.
I'm glad I used plenty of it, but I don't use the base combat and the base. I'm glad that I pilfered what I wanted from it. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, and let me counter saying that I'm glad I played first and second edition, because so I really do, and I still enjoy playing it. It's not the way I want to run my games, but I still enjoy playing it immensely if it's run well.
I don't know. Guitar says, "What's the plus on the shield?" I'm not sure. I think
that's a good.
A great point there. I don't ever want to have to find out because I don't want to get dinged up.
By the way, the paint.
I got to IKEA and I finally got those bookshelves that are going to replace it today. So yes. Well, they were finally in stock.
You've only been on vacation for
since Friday.
I know.
IKEA was devoid of everything, you know,
You're
because
not going to
people are
get any
staying home.
sympathy from us, Jay.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, guess what? I don't have to go to work. I still have to get up,
Go.
though.
I have to
Exactly.
turn on my computer from home tomorrow.
Oh, that's
Jay,
good.
do you want to borrow my hammer to put that together?
To put what together?
Your bookshelves. The hammer I brought over when I gave the shield.
Yeah, no. You know that I. Come on, man. Come on. I can handle IKEA bookshelves without getting injured. So, yeah.
You just jinxed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, you
Exactly.
probably
Now we
did.
see when Jay fumbles and
I
goes back
I
with
got
the
it. I got
band.
it. I'm a little. Plus, I'm in a
That
little
would
bit
be
better
awesome.
shape than I was 4 months ago, so I can actually carry them all down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations.
That
Yeah,
is
thanks, man.
yeah, that's a
He's
good
going to
50.
suffer from an Allen wrench injury.
Oh my God.
Oh, my wrist.
You
So
might
much.
need you might need Swedish consultancy on getting the IKEA stuff
Ken
together.
Old sucks.
Yeah.
Our next cabin should be like, what happens to adventurers who survive long enough to get old? Do they just sit around bitching about, oh, my knees hurt?
We can ask
Yeah.
Tim because he has a character that almost died of natural death.
Almost, yeah.
Oh.
I
Through-
have a great idea that I want to codify and do is basically for people who want to play like an older retired adventurer who comes back in and starts adventuring again. And my general idea would be they get to X level,
Mhm.
then they retire from adventuring, and because they're not adventuring anymore, they slowly start losing their levels.
Ooh.
We-
And then they
That
get
is
to
a
a certain
great idea.
they get to a certain part, and it's like and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to get back out there, and then they go back out. Now their stats and whatnot have changed, but they have to get back on the horse and go through,
Will.
get back into
That
the
is a
mix,
great
and they
idea.
regain their levels
Yep.
again.
At
And in
will.
third edition, there's
Nah.
retraining rules you could use to simulate
There
that
you
kind
go.
of thing.
Yeah.
See, that would be
Right.
perfect.
So
Al-
you've retrained your levels
Yeah.
of fighter to aristocrat or
Yeah.
expert or whatever to run
Mhm.
your business,
Yeah.
run the
It-
town, be a nobleman.
Yeah,
Right.
you will go faster than when you did it first time, but you still have to kind of either keep it up or
Right.
Yeah, because this way you could bring in like this old like warrior that it's like I'm gonna go get him because he from back in the day he's gonna help me out,
Yeah.
and it won't break things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
And then
just
shows
not
up.
used to it. Yeah,
I hate to burst your bubble that we have 3 characters in our campaign that have done that.
there you go. Did you codify it?
Yes, one of them's Alan's NPC Ulysses, who is 72 years old, and he's a priest now. Sorry, in my campaign, he's a special priest of Ukko. He's an ex-Sea Prince's lord who, during the Great Wars with Sea Princes of Keelan, he left and fled. He was a fighter, lost all his stats and abilities. He started back at first level to
There you
become a
go.
priest, and he redeemed himself and stuff. And so it was like 30 years later he started adventuring again. Yeah, and that was Alan's idea for a character. He's actually in Greyhawk City now.
Send me the what you guys worked up on that. I'm
Like,
curious because I
Did
want to
his
do that.
classes change?
Yeah, completely. He couldn't use his old class was gone. He started him at first. That was the idea. Yeah.
Oh, I see how you did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the way I have it, the idea is like essentially like we'll just say he was a fighter and he's going to go back to being a fighter. He lost his fighter levels.
Completely.
He would work into,
Okay.
I don't know, you'd give him like some sort of perk.
You'd
or
have
something.
8 years between adventures.
Well,
Right.
Right.
Tim's character you played last night, Sir Reginald Rathmore David Errol Trampier IV, defender of the faith and vanquisher of the unrighteous, is a
See,
dual
that's why he can't remember the sword of truth. Right there, sword of justice. That was it.
He's dual class, and he was an 8th level paladin. This character's sheet is 30-some years old, and he's 8th level paladin, 7th level mage, and he's dual class. He hasn't even surpassed. He can't use his paladin abilities. And that character's in
I
40,
explained that he was
51.
He can't do this.
Yeah.
He can't do it into old age, so he started studying magic because he can do that into his older age.
Yeah. So
Oh.
yeah, that's the great thing about dual classing humans. I always use the aging tables, Michael. Always. I use the aging tables extensively, so they
There's
get used a
aging
lot in my
tables?
campaign.
And
Oh
actually,
yeah,
my character, you
DMG.
almost-
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
my
So
character-
What are the aging tables for?
you
For
lose
when you
stats.
reach a certain age?
Oh yeah. When you
Oh,
turn.
third edition had that too, but they were in the player's handbook.
So
yeah, but you can actually roll what age you die at.
yeah, for venturing 50.
Yeah, I think you
well,
did that in third
he's
edition as well.
seasoned. He's seasoned, Patrick, as you saw last night.
Well, Tim, if your guy's been sitting around, what was the age of this character when you started playing him in Jay's campaign?
in his 20s.
He was in his 20s. He's
Okay.
52.
So he's had like 30 years to make scrolls and potions and stuff.
No. He's only
I'm
been a
going
magic
to
user
I'm going to
recently.
knock myself unconscious right now with this
No,
book.
no. He's switching to be a magic user was more recent.
Okay. Well, how long has he been a master?
Recent, like 10 years.
20 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. He could have made a ton of scrolls and
But you see,
potions.
he's
and
Yeah,
good.
man.
The reason he never became a Knight Lord is because he would go out and run things for people and he would actually do wholly good things to help large communities and people like
well,
you. So
that's what they
he's
should be
doing the
doing
righteousness,
with
not
downtime, right?
doing
If
the
you're a good
power
PC, you're out helping your
same-
church.
Oh, don't
No,
damage this
same
book.
thing. As a magic user, he's still maintaining and doing a lot of the good deeds and things he's doing. But
Where
now he's
I'm
studying
Tim,
magic.
I'm busting Jay over the.
I
fact that
know,
he doesn't
I
allow you
busted
guys
my
to
The only
balls.
perfect thing though would
use
be like
downtime
you should
create magic
like
items.
become a vampire,
No.
and then you could live forever doing good deeds.
That
No.
wouldn't be right. That'd be wrong.
No.
No, but actually, Jay did let me make magic items with Fensig because he actually is running a school and he's 16th level, so he created a couple magic items.
The golden
invented a new spell.
lightning rod
And-
tower, Anna. That's Fensig's tower, right? And if we move your
Ah,
pictures
yeah.
away, you can see it under
You
the
have to
122.
earn-
Yeah.
Lightning rod
You have to
tower,
earn your free time.
right on the map, right here. There you go. See it? There it is. Lightning rod tower up top. That's Fensig's tower, right there, in Celine. Yep. So
You have to earn your free time.
you have to earn your free time. Absolutely. So Tim, how do you want to close tonight here with on magic items?
I just want to throw magic items that you want to throw that for fun in there, and if it unbalances, you can always have the real owner show up with actual legal claim to it, and they have to give it up or steal it or destroy it or whatever. But don't be afraid to use things if it's a great part of the story. I just want to tell this funny story of I was playing with two of my military buddies. So it's 3 military guys. We'd all been infantry, and the 2 of the sons who were playing. And we had a number of these magic items. And one of the magic items was a pair of boots that when you wear them, your feet are never wet or cold. And the boys were like, they were going for swords and shields. We don't want these dumb boots. And all
Yes.
the three of us looked at each other like,
You have to have been military cold to understand
Yeah.
that.
in your
Like that.
minds, we were
Yeah.
like,
Oh
we
my
would
God.
kill somebody.
No
for-
blisters either.
Yes, meaning that will be the most fantastic item ever made.
Best ever. So anyway,
Yep.
that's all.
That's
I
good.
Funny. Yep. That's awesome. Yep.
That's Tim being a mean DM. So how
No,
many
that
times?
would be wonderful.
No,
to
I'm
have
kidding,
that.
man.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, dude.
No game effect other than your character has warm, dry feet.
Yes.
He's
Yep.
happy.
And we know
But
from
on the other
Forrest
hand,
Gump.
a military DM would simply say people who don't have that will get cold, frostbite and the trench foot or whatever. All
I give them
the
a bonus on the morale.
okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Mhm, yep.
Bonus to save versus cold.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just +1.
Mhm.
So, and Will, what to close out this magic item and treasure discussion?
Don't be afraid of cursed items, and I
Yeah.
encourage you to use them
That's a good point.
often,
Oh.
Great point, man.
as much as you can. And to make it even better, don't have it be just cursed. Have it have a good benefit too, so that they're really, conflicted over whether or not to get rid of it. That's what you need to do.
That is a wonderful,
Yep.
wonderful
Yep.
point. Absolutely.
Yeah. No spoiler alert. Will got to see some of that fun during virtual Greyhawk Con.
Yeah.
I don't want to say more.
Aha. Good.
We got to see
Yeah.
the chaos.
So
It was a lot of fun.
let's hit up some shout outs here, right? What we're all up to. And we're going to talk a lot. I will talk a fair amount about Gary Con and what's going on there as we are moving forward here. But Anna, what's cooking here?
Well, I hope that people went to my Patreon page and blog and saw the entry I made for the Alded Village, talking about the history of the village. That's for my upcoming campaign. And now I'm working on the area map, and it will also be the first example, and it will come in a few days. That will be the first example of the type of map, the future Greyhawk maps, the kind of first test case for how to present them and what data and stuff to and the DM side of things, not the player handout. That will be a separate project on itself. But so that is coming to have an example of what the future maps could bring, so to speak. That's it's coming. Yep. Oh, there we have it. Oh, that's a cutie. Yep.
She's hangry. Sorry.
I forgot. I apologize. I forgot one question about the. This is from Fortress Elendar, the shield. What does the shield do? It's called a shield of prey. It's a fantastic item from that Fortress Elendar, Tim. So basically, the claws of the bird come out and grab your opponent as you're attacking. It's a +1 shield for armor class, but it gives you a +3 to your to hit roll. So it's a really cool item, and you find that in the Adventure Fortress Elendar, which is on my Wall of Fame by Fantasy Flight Games from the 80s. And if you can find a copy of it, get it. You've got to convert it over because it's got, it's a different system, but it's a fantastic adventure. All sorts of wonderful items.
You threw it in a cannon fodder adventure.
Yes.
We found it.
Well, I gave you, it was only +1 to hit, though. It wasn't as powerful as the one in.
Well, that's fine. We're what, 5th
Yes,
level?
see, I did. Wow, yeah.
Very cool.
There you go. Yep. So that answers that question. So thank you, Anna, though. Appreciate it. We're gonna have. I'm gonna discuss some stuff on GaryCon, what's going on in the fundraiser and all too. So and then Anna will be on again Wednesday night for a really cool discussion, and we'll go over that as well. So Casey, what's cooking, man?
So I have gotten all 3 events or days rather in for Ethereal GaryCon for the next running of the Bandit Kingdoms tourney, which as you heard, Will got to play in, and we had great fun with him playing Sergei the Renee fighter.
I came in second, right?
I believe that's true. I'd have to look up the results, but I believe that's true. So I've got that in. So if you want to play in the tournament, it's ready to be signed up in early January when the con goes live. Also running it for ExtraCon. I've posted the link in previous shows. John Dawes is running a Xife module at ExtraCon as well. So just Google InterCon ExtraCon and you'll be able to find those signups if interested. Working on a Seaton article. Gary Holian should hopefully still be in the audience. Now, Seaton's in Keeland, which is obviously Gary's stomping grounds. But I told Christoph a while back that I would write up Seaton. If you look in the Zavoda index, there's like nothing. Seaton's mentioned in U1, 2, and 3 is like being 20 miles away. That's basically it. So I just recently had my Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign spend a couple weeks, couple sessions. We play once a month, but long sessions. So I decided to write it up. So I'm working on that. And then I think I talked myself into, last night I was talking to my wife and I was like, once we sell this condo and buy a house, I'll have more free time to start converting my Living Greyhawk adventures back to Pathfinder and put those on the market to sell and things like that. And she was like, well, why don't you convert the ones you already have it done to Pathfinder to 5th edition? So now in the back of my brain is like, maybe I could take these 2. I think I've only done 2 so far, convert them to 5th edition real quickly. Cause I just feel like 5th edition's momentum over Pathfinder right now is just 100 times more, especially since Pathfinder 2e came out. So I've got all that kind of rattling around projects I want to work on. And then we're going to start working on the next Legends and Lore Living Greyhawk shows for next year. We're continuing to build our contacts within the Triad and Circle member communities. Mm-hmm. And, I'm thinking maybe a show that is all the women who were Triad members for Living Greyhawk at some point. Right now, we've been in touch with 3 of them, right? We've had Judy from Keeland on, this Wednesday, Denise from the Duchy, and of course my compatriot Susan Threadgill from the Bandit Kingdom. So we're trying to track down any other ladies who were Triad members during Living Greyhawk, and then we'll do other shows. I want to reach out to Stephen Radney McFarland and Eric Mona and all the others who were high-level administrators and have them do a show with just Circle members where they can talk about the high-level stuff. So we're always trying to work on things for the Living Greyhawk shows, because I hope you guys are enjoying those. So
yeah,
that's it. I don't have a lot going on.
It's cool, and thank you once again for coming on tonight and sharing everything.
Thanks for having me.
It was definitely a blast. Tim.
Oh, I don't have nearly as much going on as all you people. So at least gaming stuff anyway. I'm just working on the fumble aspect of my critical hit charts. Still messing with those. And I came up with a new idea now that somebody mentioned flexible weapons. I'm like, that sounds like it needs its own special fumbles. So
oh my gosh.
I concur.
Yes, and flexible weapons are tricky. And I have the Barbarian game coming up at Gary Con. The next
Yes. So
chapter.
if
Dark Hand Headhunt.
and there, I promised someone I wouldn't. I'm not. Well, it will be Saturday morning of Gary Con, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, Dark Hand Headhunt. We also, before that, we'll have Blue Box will be having a Lore Master, special Lore Masters, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. before that Saturday morning. Hey, I'm getting every time slot filled out here, everyone. I'm going to have 24-hour coverage if it kills me. So, as asked, as requested. But yeah, it'll be a fun one. So, the crew will be back for that adventure. So,
I'm looking forward to being in your charity game.
yes, the charity game, which is on, the 20th of. I forgot those in because I'm a dummy. You go ahead and.
And I don't know everyone else is running it because I'm trying to be in another game besides Jay. So last time I was in 2, I'd like to do the same thing again. So
yes, Tim. If anyone, if anyone else is out there and they want to have Tim in their game during the fundraiser, please reach out to Tim and he will gladly join you, which would be cool. So to have Tim in your game. So he wants to do 2, just like he did last time. I'm linking those 2 things in because I've missed them. So there we go. All right, Tim, thanks. Will, what's cooking for you, man?
Well, I can always be found over on Wicked Studios LLC on Twitch. Currently, I'm not DMing anything over there, which is odd.
Yeah.
I'm a player in the Friday night Dragonlance game, and I'm a player on the Wednesday night Blood and Gold Deadlands game. That will be ending here. It might carry over into January, maybe not. I won't get to dress up as a priest anymore, which I'm kind of sad about that, but it's all right. So, but after the Blood and Gold game is over, I will be heading back to DMing. I will be DMing the Streets of Lukish.
Nice.
A urban campaign where they play the City Watch. The characters are playing the City Watch. And taking cues from a lot of detective shows and things along these lines. So we're prepping for that. They're starting to make videos and stuff for that right now. So I've passed off some of my stuff. I'm still doing my own prep for it. But and then let's see. I haven't posted up as much stuff on the Greyhawk Companion as I have. I've slowed down, so like maybe 1 a week.
That's still good.
One every 2 weeks
Will.
now.
That's still good.
But I've been doing some artwork, getting some artwork together for Christoph for the next Orth Journal, and so I'm doing that. But I've got another dragon entry that's pretty much I just got to put it through the edit machine, and then and I'll stick that up there onto the Greyhawk Companion, and I have a huge list of articles that I want to write. So, and I'll eventually get around to that sort of stuff. And I'm going to do another adventure here pretty soon. I'm going to write up another one to put up there.
Plus, Wicked Studios, Will, you
That's
have...
about it. A lot of writing.
Wow.
A lot of prepping.
So Wicked Studios is running noon to 4 Eastern Saturday.
And not to mention, that has nothing to do with the upcoming charity or GaryCon, which I'll be in both of those.
Wicked Studios noon to 4 Saturday during the.
And when it goes up,
fundraiser.
there'll be that one slot for a perfect situation.
Yeah.
Did you read the little blurb?
Yeah.
What the adventure is? Okay. So basically, gosh, I can't remember. What's his name, Jay? I can't hear you.
I don't remember.
The Cat Lord. What's his name?
Banshee.
Rex
Right?
Phillies. Yeah.
Yeah. Rex Phillies turns the characters into cats.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
That is Sunday morning.
And it goes from there.
11. That's a Sunday morning, 11 to 3 of Gary
so that's
Con.
It. That's all I got going.
I think you got one open sign up for that too, right?
I'll have to tell my wife about that one because we kickstarted the Dungeons and Doggos in the Cats and Catacombs. I think they call the cats ones. Mm-hmm. We've got the dog minis. I don't think we've received the cat ones yet.
JB, you may want to reach out to Will if you have a
Running
digital
Burrows,
map you're
yeah.
working on.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
JB, if you're working on a digital map
Except-
with Lucas.
Probably with, more
A lot more
demanding
of
of treats.
that. Yes, exactly.
Oh my god, this one.
Mhm.
10 o'clock is Eastern is her dinner time, so
She's
she's driving me nuts right now. 'Cause she's locked in here with me.
Oh, so you get the full brunt.
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
she's daddy's girl, so
Yeah.
There you go.
Not right now. Yeah.
Mhm.
So to wrap things up, this is what's going on during
We
this.
can't hear you, Jay.
Really?
Can you guys hear him? I can't hear him.
Nope,
No.
I can't hear him either. Yeah.
Oh no, we lost.
He's been
Jay.
talking this entire time and nobody's paying any attention
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah,
You
he's
notice he
unplugged
kept talking
himself.
though. He didn't
Yeah.
like stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Yeah.
Still not.
No.
Mm-mm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear
That
you.
is weird. It's going through the different mic. I don't know what the heck's going on with this. All right. So, sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah.
Wednesday, the high seas will be legends and lore. I guess we have Mike, Greyhawk Mike Bridges will really get us going on this. I'm gonna stick to what I know, and that's Harby in the Woolly Bay area with the slavers and what goes on in that area. But we're gonna talk about as much as we can throughout Greyhawk. You know, all the way down to the Isle of Dread and the Crimson Fleet and Sasserine. We'll try and get to all of it on Legends and Lore on Wednesday. So,
Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Mhm.
This
Yes,
is
we can
bizarre.
hear you.
This is bizarre.
Yeah, it looks like everybody else in chat could hear you. It
You
must
just
have been a
muted
Zoom
Zoom.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
so Zoom's here and the mic's here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm actually mic'd in two different areas at once. So hopefully I don't have a
okay, so
reverb.
that's,
All right, I'm sorry.
Oh, you
I'm
had
sorry.
reverb last night. I noticed.
Yeah, we kind of had
Yeah.
to fix that a little bit. All right, that's my bad. So
no
yeah,
problem.
so
Yeah.
the high seas tomorrow night on Wednesday. Jesus to me, Greyhawk Mike Bridges is going to crank that out and help us. I'll help however I can on that one. This Thursday, I don't have a game ready yet, so I don't know what I'm running this Thursday. After Thursday and Saturday, I'm like game brain dead. So I'm working on that tomorrow. So I can't tell you what I'm doing tomorrow this week. Here comes
Wander around Highport.
yeah. Next Sunday night, Gabbin 123, Greyhawk and Campaign rivalries. We already went over a lot of these at the end of the show, real quick in our discussion, but there's a lot of them, and good people can really not like each other too. So, you know,
That's something that needs to be done more of.
oh, I got it, man. I got a lot of it. So we're gonna have fun with that, and we'll discuss that next Sunday on Gabbin. The week after, on Legends and Lore, this is the Wednesday before Christmas. Greyhawk history leading to 576. I'm hoping David Leonard's available, maybe Tommy John Kelly, and we get some history like 200-300 years before the campaign starts in the glossography.
Oh wow!
I always want to know what happened then.
Wait, get Gary on there.
Get Gary. Well,
Yeah.
maybe Gary will be doing it
If
too.
you have an open slot.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
Yeah, I always
David-
want Gary on.
And
I'm now
David
running
Leonard.
today's show for
Yeah, I said David, Tommy John Kelly, and
Yeah.
David
Gary
Leonard,
Helene would
yeah.
be great if they're
Yes.
available.
Yeah. David Leonard wrote
Hateful
some of the
Wars,
best-
Battle of
yes.
Emeraldy Meadows, talk about details of all that. You know, go through some expansion of Keyland era. You know, there's a lot of cool things you can. What's going on in the Great Kingdom at that time? Turmoil between crowns. We can talk about all that, and that'll be a good one. And then, barring me having a special guest in the next 2 weeks in Gabbin, the Gabbin after that, the last Gabbin of the year, is my year in review. I normally do that the last Sunday of the year, and we'll go over everything
That's
great.
a good one.
Besides bad things that happen in the world, we're going to talk about all the great things that happened with us in 2020, right? Which is, we had some good times so far this year. Underdark Uprising. It's 24 plus hours. It's Friday and Saturday now. Okay. Saturday, we have 8 channels. Actually, if Tim DMs it, which he's planning to, we'll have 9 streams. That's 36 hours of gaming for everyone, benefiting St. Jude. So I just got to get the time slots all worked out, the final 2 time slots worked out to get that done. So are we giving out Gabbin awards? I should give out some awards, shouldn't I? What did
Gabbin Awards.
what was it called? What was it called on The Office? What do you call those little awards? The oh my god.
Oh, I don't remember, but
What did
someone
Michael
should
Scott call
nominate.
those awards? Yeah.
Hey Jay, someone should nominate Ian World, and then you can say no, they don't qualify for this.
Yeah, the Dundies. I'll have my own version of the Dundies. I may do that. So the Gabbies. That's funny.
Oh, the Gabbies, that's a good one.
If my brain is not completely dead by that time after
Oh,
Christmas with all
someone
this stuff. Yeah.
Step up and help you with that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Really, definitely a great idea. All right, so virtual Greyhawk Adventures and Gary Con is going together. So Wiley, thank you. You are Wiley Hobbit. He's 11. This is all Central Standard Time. He's 11 to 3 on Friday. I got Blue Box is gonna have 4 events now. Okay, I went a little overboard. I have 10.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Will, but 3 of them. All right. So this is the idea. We've been talking about this. Anna and I are going to host Greyhawk After Dark, which is from midnight to 1 a.m. Eastern, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, and just talk about what happened during the adventures during the day. Have some special guests on for an hour, in leading up to the New Zealand streamer taking over for the late night. So there you go. So that's 3 of them.
So you guys gonna be drinking?
I won't be drinking.
Me neither.
Oh my gosh!
I will be. Yeah, I can't handle that.
Can you imagine me drinking and because I'm DMing almost every morning except for when Tim DMs. I'm DMing.
I didn't tell you to get drunk.
For me, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So we got a ton of stuff
Much
going
difference.
I don't drink anymore.
If you
I
have
don't
not,
drink any less either.
Yeah, exactly.
if you have not, and a lot of people put in events. Casey has 3 in. A lot of people who are on here. Gaetano. Sorry if I forget someone. Prometheus, Anticarus. Josh Pop's going to put some in. We got a lot of Scott Casper has games in. We're trying to. I'm trying to get to like 50 to 60 events for them. So that's what we're working toward. Any con benefits for yourself out of this? Yeah, I think, I mean, I think the exposure is enough though, Patrick. But there is, if you look at the link above, I'll relink it. There is now, if it comes back up, there you go. There is a DM's reward program set up by Gary Con. Click that link if you want to see what the rewards are for DMs. For Casey, you'll easily qualify. Thank you for that follow, Dane. That heard 3. Really appreciate it.
That went live.
Yes. Yes, you can take a look at the various rewards that they are providing, which is free badges for next year and some swag and other things for however many hours you DM. So they've added that in, and that applies to all of our people. Is that a new Discord specifically? That is my Discord for Greyhawk Con, because remember, Greyhawk Con's next October. So join the Gary Con Discord, which I don't have the link for. Josh isn't doing his job. Just kidding. And I got him, zing. And then Greyhawk Con Discord, because we do put announcements there, especially for the fundraiser event coming up and for some things. We use that as well. So, all right. That's Eagles won today. How'd that happen?
They put in a new quarterback.
Yeah.
It's all right. The real game's tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Well, good luck there, the Browns.
Are you wearing a Browns jersey?
That's his team. He's from there.
Oh my God. Well, hang on. I just want to tell Will real quick.
Oh, we got to do the giveaways. Let's do the giveaways.
Oh, you should start those. I'll talk about this during the end credits.
Yeah,
because it's not D&D related.
Oh, okay. Well, you can talk now. Yeah. That's fine. All right, closing this out.
I'm an Aggie, so when Johnny Manziel got drafted by Cleveland, I started listening to WKNR 8:50 a.m. the morning show. Okay. And it is the best sports talk show in the country. I don't care about Cleveland sports, but it's a great show. And ever since then, I've continued to follow them because now they have Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is also an Aggie. So I actually watch Browns football games so that I can follow along with their discussions. But I have no rooting interest in who wins or loses. I'm not gambling. I'm not a fan. I don't care. So I'm probably the most chill person watching a Cleveland game in the history of Cleveland sports, right? Because why would you watch if you don't care? So I like to put it on in the background while I work on Dungeons and Dragons and stuff on Sundays.
So technically, maybe we have you to thank for this season.
Well, I wouldn't quite say that because I've been listening to that radio program since like 2014, and
It's a PDF
really
too,
haven't
Prometheus.
done
I can
anything.
get that to you.
But
No,
it
you're
is,
right.
if you listen to Sports Talk Radio, it's amazing because they've had Simon Pegg on there and they talk to him about Star Wars stuff. They've had
Really?
Hulk Hogan
Third.
on there and they talk to him about wrestling.
And find our winner.
They have
What
barbecue
was it
people.
again?
WKNR
Damn.
850 AM.
DM 221532.
They're heavily tied into the Browns football organization. Like one of them does the pregame show, and
I'll have to check.
there's two people, right? So in sports talk, you always have like two personalities opposing
Yeah,
each
they-
other.
yeah.
One is local to
Congrats,
Cleveland,
everyone.
been doing this 40 years. The other guy has been there 15 years, but from Denver. And he's the one that says Cleveland sucks, you know.
Of course he is, because he's a freaking Bronco fan.
Right,
Screw those
exactly.
guys.
So,
We're gonna raid
anyway, I think you
into
would get a kick
let's
out
raid
of
into
that.
Sorrow's Tale. He's got a Greyhawk game going, so we're gonna raid into him. And let me go to my exit screen here, and boom, with some cool music here. See you all.
I just had to tell Will all that.
That's right. The funny thing with that is, I'm from Cleveland. I live in Denver.
Thank you for a great show.
Simon Pegg was in Star Wars as well, people. He was one of the aliens that helped Rey when she was in episode 7, right?
I
Wow.
think what they're saying is that they don't recognize
You're welcome.
that as being actual
Long
Star
shot of. Do I have your
Well,
email? If I think
a
I
big
may,
deal
but
for
if you
Simon
don't,
Pegg.
whisper me your
Right.
email and I'll send it to you. Thank you, Cannibal. Here we go. Rating in 5, 4, 3. Anytime.
Good night, everybody.
2. See you.
Night.
Bye bye.
Night.
It's probably the first time one of Jay's shows ended with NFL talks. Sorry.
Right.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Jay started it.
I
He was
did.
saying that he started talking about the Eagles. There's
Yeah,
the
no,
floodgate.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Eagles beat the Saints.
Well, like I said, they started their new quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They almost blew it, but well, I didn't see the end because